It's a rolling, not a stop. Don't never stop.
Yeah.
It's a rolling, not a stop. Don't never stop.
Yeah.
Hey, this a
Yeah. Did it like
It's a rolling, not a stop. Don't never stop. It's a rolling, not a stop. Watch shit don't never stop. Stop.
no problem with it. Do it like
No. It's the flow that got the block high.
no.
It's the flow that got the block high.
No problem with it.
It's the flow that got the block high. Shit don't never stop.
Yeah.
It's a rolling, not a stop. Shit don't never stop. Damn, there's a dude. It's a rolling, not a stop. Shit don't never stop.
Yeah.
It's a rolling, not a stop. Shit don't never stop.
Yeah.
Hey, this a
Yeah. Did it like
It's a rolling, not a stop. Shit don't never stop.
yeah.
It's a rolling, not a stop. Watch shit don't never stop. Stop. Stop.
No problem with it. Do it like
Stop.
No.
It's the flow that got the block high.
no.
Medic! Scalpel. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us on this Glorious Day.
And a friend.
You aren't duping the doctor. I mean, the doctors look into your eyes.
Jeez, and the fight is over! Michael Barber! Michael, let's go! What did I tell you, fools?
What's up, boys and girls? This is UFC lightweight Michael Chandler. And I'm just telling you right now, if you don't go to YouTube and hop on the MMA Bet Surgeon channel, like and subscribe and ingest and digest some of the best UFC mixed martial arts and boxing predictions on the planet, on the internet, then you're doing it wrong. Appreciate you guys. See you at the top.
What is going on, everybody? I appreciate everybody coming out. I am alive. I'm not dead. The rumor's been killed. It's happened before. I ended up watching the fights at a later point in time. I mean, here's where we're at. You know what I mean? Like, it happens with the best of us. I was like, I was similar to Frankie, except I was crashing into my fucking bed around 3 fights before the main event, maybe even possibly more. But I mean, worst ways I could have gone out that night. But I mean, still bad. I apologize to everybody. We're hopefully not have anything like that happen again soon. But even still, the enjoyment. It's the enjoyment that we're all having, and I'm sure. And it sounded like, and I went back and watched a lot of it, and I appreciate everyone that did stay. It was a good time. You know what I mean? And there was a good, a good camaraderie between our group. And I mean, it's been a good little run through so far, and we're gonna keep that going. But I mean, as far as this card this weekend, you know, I mean, we'll do the customary we'll look at the photo. I mean, so listen, this week I didn't do the Gilbert thing. Gilbert, I went through his shit for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Nothing. I went years back into his life on his Instagram. Years back on his and his wife's, looking for a funny photo, a photo in a hat, a photo in something. You know what I mean? Like Halloween costume. I was like, he's got kids. Gotta have done Halloween stuff with them. No photos of that, any of that kind of stuff depicted. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the shit part about that. Nothing to find on Gilbert. As far as old Kamaru, of course, we got a nice one of him in, one of those little blow up electronic suits that you get to go into. And, he's like a cowboy. I mean, I don't know why he's not wearing the hat, but maybe it didn't work with his melon. You know what I mean? What's going on, Dougie? What's going on, LJ? I'm alive.
How's it going, gentlemen? Doug, I think you might be muted.
No, he's not. Is he?
Hello?
Yep, here now.
good.
Yep, you're good now.
Okay. Good to see you back, Serge. Good to see you live.
I was going to say it. I didn't speak out. I said, could still be a simulation. I'm not sure. Could be some sort of
I'm ready to go.
pre-recorded
I'm ready
message.
to go.
Just run it.
I did the podcast, did pre-recorded everything. I think it's like
some whiskey-induced coma.
I'm what you would call one of those YouTube bots. I'm just kind of coming put into the system to gain knowledge. What's going on, LJ?
Hello, yes. Hello. He's awoken from his
I told you, man. I went down like Frankie.
Nah, well, he was
You
more...
need to save our Doug and I's reaction to the Frankie knockout.
I'm saving it.
I clipped it on my Twitter.
Yes.
You did?
Yes. Oh, yeah,
it's,
nice one.
it's on my Twitter, and I'm working on. I have a channel now, and I've got it in my intro.
Beautiful. I'll get it. I'll get it from there.
Oh,
Good
Doug,
idea.
yeah,
See,
make sure
I
you
mean,
make your channel,
was
please.
screaming
the
and we
smart
jumped out of
ones,
the
the
chair
smart
and
ones
everything.
learn. The smart ones take good things from each other. Because, be honest, I mean, I could be making shit up. Have not seen another like channel like a MMA channel take their shit and lay it over the clip. You know what I mean? Haven't seen that yet. Haven't seen it yet. Don't want to start fucking patting myself on the back too early, but haven't seen it. I'll be honest, I have not. But I mean, I'm glad you guys had a good time. I'm definitely gonna clip it. I'm definitely everyone go subscribe. You fucking wish you. Do you have a name for the channel?
It's under Doug Las Vegas. It's the
Okay.
same name as I'm in the show in. I'm hoping to get the first video out Friday. I've got a midterm, but
same
I'm
same
hoping to
name,
get that
people.
done.
Same name. Go
What's
hit
the vid?
subscribe on the channel.
Is it for like 258 or?
I'm gonna do a comedic breakdown of Usman versus Burns. I've got a bit of it written out so far. I'm liking how it's coming together.
Okay.
I'm interested. You have my attention.
I like that. I mean,
Yes.
it's gonna be a good show. People, maybe we should we'll get this kind of bullshit cooking. I mean, we don't have 14 fights like normal, so we're gonna scoot through it a little bit quicker tonight. I'm absolutely sure not as many of those, up there to grab pick'em fights as we did, in the last couple of weeks, and we were all kind of, chiming in about it last night. Not really a show you'd maybe pay a full pay-per-view price for, but
Oh, it's a fight night, let's face it.
yeah, it is a fight night.
We already
But I
know
mean-
what side LJ's coming down on the main event, I guess. Look at her off the bat.
And I said after the toe stomping convention in Kamaru's last fight with Masvidal, I said that's it. He's gonna be the first welterweight to headline a title fight on the UFC Fight Night card.
Wow.
This is
And-
basically it. Let's face it.
I tried to
May-
layer
Maycee Barber, Alexa Grasso as the co-main event. Don't get any better than that, people.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I would say we're trashing it a lot. I'm a bit higher on it than I was before after doing
Let's
a bit
break
more
it
research
down
on
and we
some of
can
these
trash
fights.
it later.
But yeah, sure, we'll trash it later. Let's
That's
get right into the
probably-
meat of it.
Yeah, that's probably a good process. Let's start cooking on some of these. So this is the order that this is fucking my order's all fucked, obviously, like a lot of people's are. I mean, like I've got I'm gonna go off the Tapology one. I mean, I know that's got I think Tapology has
Women's flyweight fight's the first fight in the prelims.
Yeah,
With
so it
Gillian
actually is. So the Robinson fight is the first fight.
Robertson.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so yeah, see, this is the whole thing. I like using Tapology as far as the stats and that they have as far as photos and stuff like that goes. But then I just line my whole note system up around, her and all that shit. And I normally do. She's pretty up there as far as the notes go. I mean, I don't have her too far down. I've just got to scroll to fucking find this. I mean, it's definitely... I was going to say, maybe I just even go on the other order. This is going to be a flyweight bout at 125 pounds between Gillian Robertson, 5'5", with a 63-inch reach, and Miranda Maverick, 5'3", with a 65-inch reach. 6-3 in the UFC for Gillian Robertson with a 9-5 MMA record. 1-0 in the UFC for Miranda Maverick, 8-2 MMA record. Gillian Robertson, 1 knockout, 6 subs. Miranda Maverick, 1 knockout, 5 subs. Talia Santos is Gillian Robertson's last loss. I believe most of us commentated that together. We all kind of, I think we did. I mean, that fight. I mean, that's kind of a typical Gillian Robertson fight. I mean, like, as far as what she wants to do in a lot of her fights, it's kind of the same thing. She's got a very high skill level in jiu-jitsu. She's constantly competing in things like Submission Underground and other kinds of jiu-jitsu tournaments. Her jiu-jitsu level's very high, as we can see, 6 submissions in comparison to 1 knockout. She doesn't have, from what I've watched and from, even just breaking down the Talia Santos fight, putting that in perspective for a lot of her other fights. I mean, basically in that fight, she's looking for submissions a lot of the time. Once she feels threatened on the hands and feet, she completely abandons it and starts looking for submissions. And then as far as that whole fight goes, you have, Santos pretty much dictating the entire fight, not able to get submitted, staying on top in a lot of these exchanges, and then, being able to rain punches for the remainder of the fight. Every single round, pretty much ended up the exact same. Like that, if we're looking at the fights for Gillian Robertson, a lot of them do kind of, sway as far as, her kind of resume goes. She kind of wins one, loses one sometimes, like Miranda Maverick, right? She's got that fight coming up, and it's a big fight because I think that this is a girl that's kind of got a little bit more grappling ability, kind of knows how to submit people as well, knows what she's doing on the ground, and strength. That's kind of what I want to touch on as well as Gillian Robertson. In a lot of these bouts that we still see Gillian Robertson in, it kind of goes to one thing, right? It's either like she's able to control them on the ground because they don't have the ability, and their strength ends up wearing out, right? Because of her, relentless pressure and stuff like that. And her, she's always pulling guard, always trying to go for the ground. And or then it ends up, she's going to get that choke on you. That's always a possibility. But I mean, with a lot of these girls that aren't so much one-dimensional, I think they're easily able to kind of, stand up to what Gillian Robertson has. And if you threaten her a little bit on the hands and feet, you stop her from taking you down, and you're able to put shots on her. We've seen in other fights before. Like in the Maycee Barber fight, she just goes like this, cowers up against the side. She doesn't even drop. Right? She's not even getting dropped. She just can't answer back to the punches. She's rocked on the hands and feet, and the ref ends up coming and stops the fight. I mean, it's something we've seen a couple times. I mean, pretty much only the one time, in her career, but it's more so if you stump her on the hands and feet, you're going to see that. As far as a girl like Miranda Maverick goes, she's kind of a little bit more, I'd say a little bit more dimensional than a girl like Gillian Robertson. She's only 1-0 in the UFC with an 8-2 record, 1 knockout, 5 subs. She's coming off the TKO win over Liana Jojua, in which, looking pretty good in that fight. Opening with good kicks, punches, light on her hands and feet. Jojua was kind of being a bit more stationary in that fight, kind of just sitting, plotting, looking. And pretty much she just started pressing, looking confident, mixing it to the body well. And then obviously we saw the cut in between the eyes. Even that first round was looking well because of Miranda Maverick's movement. But as far as everything else you looked at in that fight, there was a lot of, questions. Of course, the Jojua stoppage, in my opinion, easily was too much of a, too quick of a stoppage and stuff like that. And, her nose was gushing, but she was still in it. It was early on in the fight. Whatever. They're doctors. I'm not. I'm the surgeon, though. I think the well-roundedness of Maverick will probably lead to her having success in this fight against the jiu-jitsu specialist Gillian Robertson. As I see the fight going similar to Gillian Robertson's last fight against Talia Santos, probably a kind of somewhat more of a boring fight. She's going to sit on top of her. She's not going to be able to submit her, hit from shots. I think that Robertson's going to get hit with a couple shots in the beginning, or maybe an opening exchange on the hands and feet. And basically she's going to realize she wants to shoot that takedown like she does normally. She's going to throw some sort of a sloppy takedown like we've seen her occasionally when she gets hit with some hard shots, or she's going to try and pull guard, obviously, like I was saying. And then at that point, I feel like the only risk is, Maverick getting caught in some sort of position, in some sort of submission where, she's not adapt to it. So, I mean, as far as the fight goes, I think Maverick's just too strong for Gillian Robertson, especially on the ground. I just see a dominant performance from Miranda Maverick. What are you guys thinking?
You go first, Dougie.
I completely agree. Actually, I had pretty much the same thing down in my notes. I just think Maverick is a better wrestler than Robertson, even though Robertson might be a better overall grappler. So I think she'll definitely be able to keep it on the feet and outstrike her for 3 rounds. Robertson is definitely a live submission threat, but I don't see that as very likely. So I'd go Maverick by decision, if anything.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think Doug, you hit the nail on the head with she's probably got her strength makes her probably the better wrestler, and she'll be able to keep it on the feet. Probably just probably be close. Decision. I'm not touching this fight because the submission threat is there. She only has to slip up once to really get caught in something. And coming off a loss, we don't really see Robertson tend to take multiple losses in a row. She's an active fighter. I don't know, but I say I'm not going to touch it. Definitely going with our Canadian girl probably by Saturday.
Well, you're going to have to. Okay. Perfect point here. Perfect point to bring up.
No, we're doing it later. We're doing it.
Okay. Keep it on rolling. Keep it on.
It's too complicated to get into now. We'll do it later.
Yeah, you're right. Let's get the fights done. Let's get these 11.
You want me to?
No. LJ's going. LJ, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry, LJ. You bring it up, and I'm going to share the bet screen.
Yeah, the bet. Yeah, then you go bring your screen up while you win. LJ, what are you thinking about this fight?
Yeah, Gillian Robertson. She's good, but she's timid on the feet. And she's got a low finish rate, so she tends to cruise to a decision. What I've seen, she'll literally she'll choose a dangerous position on the ground.
Yeah.
Over being in trouble on the feet all day. She just purposely goes to the ground to avoid the striking, and she'll wilt on the feet the fight with Barber.
Yeah.
Like you said, she didn't even get dropped. She didn't even take a knee. She was just getting
put her hands
pelted
up,
with
right?
shots.
Yeah. Put her hands up and said, I'm done.
It'll be very similar to that fight, I think.
Yeah.
You think it's going to be similar to that fight, eh?
Because just Maycee Barber and
Miranda
Maverick are very similar. They're both just pretty much athletic, pretty well-rounded.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. From tape I've watched from Maverick, like you said,
she's pretty good.
Strong on the feet. She's got good forward pressure. The fight with Joshua, Joshua is nothing to run home about.
No.
Come on, she's rubbish. But she battered a broken nose, and then it was just a doctor stoppage at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
Now I will say, we don't know. You will know if who's going to win this fight within the first 2 minutes. It'll be either Maverick pelting her with shots, and then Robertson panic wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know how good Maverick's wrestling is. She lost a unanimous decision to Deanna Bennett. Deanna Bennett is 9-4, and she didn't even. I don't even think she qualified past the first round of the Ultimate Fighter. She's not. 15. She's not a good fighter, and she's losing a unanimous decision. And then this was a year ago, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know. And she's getting out wrestled in that fight. And she's getting. Bennett's just stronger than, and she was just taking her down and stuff. So we don't know. Like Doug said, I'd say Gillian Robertson's live for the submission, but I think Maverick takes this one by decision. And a good thing to note as well, you might see Robertson going for the finish a bit more because she's a free agent after this fight. She might want to get another UFC contract.
That's a great point.
She might get stopped.
On to a different organization. So if she's going in there thinking, this is my job on the line.
Yeah,
you might see.
I hear that.
She's definitely going to be live for a submission. But besides that, I've got a Maverick decision.
I think this. I don't know if it's just me. I think this fight should pretty much be closer to a pick'em. I think, considering Gillian Robertson, this will be probably quite easily Maverick's toughest competition to date. Could be a roadblock.
Yeah, you're right.
That's just me. I'd have it as a pick'em, so that's why I'm not going to be going too deep into Maverick at all. But yeah, I don't mind Maverick decision, and I don't mind the fight to go the distance. Maybe she has a parlay piece. But
Yeah,
like,
it's,
that's almost not
Robertson,
really
the
worth it
underdog
just in
as well,
case of
is she?
submission. Sorry, what was that, LJ?
She the underdog, Robertson.
Yeah, 2.1 to
Yeah,
1.
I would if you. I mean, if you want to bet this fight, I mean, I probably won't bet it personally, but
She'll be in a parlay. I can
Robertson
pretty
or
much
Robertson
almost guarantee it.
submission's probably live because I mean, she lost to Talia Santos, but she was a huge favourite in that fight. I mean, Talia Santos, she was an underdog against Molly McCann. I mean, she was a plus 250 underdog against Molly McCann.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then she comes in against Gillian Robertson. She's a 2-1 underdog again, but she's really good. I mean, if Vegas keep putting her as an underdog in these fights, I'm going to keep betting her. But that's just because she's a good fighter. But like I said before, Robertson, she just looks a bit timid on the feet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think
that might be a downfall.
I think she gets dealt with. I think she gets dealt with here. Like, she's fought, like, she avenged that Deanna Bennett, whatever, that fucking, whatever, 9-4. I don't know who that woman is in Invicta. Avenge that. She's, like, we can look down the hole if you really want to get picky. She's fought people. Like, she's fought some girls that are in the UFC now. Victoria Leonardo, she beat her. Like, I mean, they're not people to go cry home about, you know what I mean? Like, she's also beat, if you really look into it, she's beat Pearl Gonzalez, who's a girl that's like, pretty much like a submission girl that, only does jiu-jitsu now, you know what I mean? Like, no longer a UFC fighter, right? So, I don't know. There's I know, but then you go, oh, what about that girl? Oh, well, in a jiu-jitsu match, Gillian Robertson choked that girl out, right? You know what I mean? You could do fucking math you want all day. I mean, I think Maverick's going to have it. I think the strength is going to be there for her. Just the youth. I just think that there's a lot to Miranda Maverick. I think she's hopefully just keeps improving. I think we'll take her. I think what's her by decision? Miranda Maverick by decision, 2.62. That might be a parlay piece for me.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't see her finishing Robertson. She probably hurt her, but I don't know.
I wouldn't put anything heavy on that, though.
No, definitely not. This is a fight.
Yeah,
the Prodigy pretty not bad fight to start the card if this ends up being the first fight, but definitely could be worse women's fights.
And who's got what's the official card up posted on? Is it on Sherdog? Does Sherdog have the actual order?
Nobody has the order.
Well, no, it's on. Just if you just Google UFC schedule, it'll come up.
I don't even ever trust those two. But I mean, yeah, that's probably
that's legit. That's legit.
It's all semantics at the end of the day. It's all.
Is it Gabe Green and
Philip
Rowe next?
Philip Rowe, yeah.
Okay, I think that's right here. Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the whole problem. All these notes are just skewed all over.
Control F, idiot.
I don't do that kind of techno shit. I mean, okay, this is a welterweight bout at 170 pounds between Gabe Green, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach, taking on Philip Rowe, 6'3" with an 80.5-inch reach. Gabe Green, 0-1 in the UFC with a 9-3 record. Philip Rowe, it's his debut fight in the UFC. Only had a Dana White Contender Series appearance. He is 7-2 in his MMA career. Gabe Green, 3 knockouts, 6 submissions. Philip Rowe, 3 knockouts, 4 submissions. Gabe Green's coming off a UD loss, short notice fight for Daniel Rodriguez, in which, Daniel Rodriguez took a UD loss to Gabe Green. I mean, I'll give that to anyone on. I believe it was Gabe. Daniel took that fight on short notice and not Gabe, but I think Daniel did. In that fight, we saw a lot of good mixing it up from Gabe Green. We saw a lot of good leg kicks. Mixing that up to the body, mixing that up to the head. He was getting countered a lot by Daniel Rodriguez in that fight. I mean, in that fight, we just saw pretty much from Gabe Green, we just saw heart. The ability from him the entire fight was to press through a lot of shots from Daniel Rodriguez, pretty much just try and land kicks. He threw a lot of good kind of kicks, but none of them really landed. Rodriguez was trying to pretty much able to dictate that fight. But like I said, short notice fight. Gabe Green was the guy who took the fight on short notice. I'm an idiot. Green was pressing that fight, like I said, short notice. Tons of punches, reckless, almost throwing, taken down a couple of times, and in the last 30 seconds. I mean, he's like swinging so much to the point in that fight. I don't know if it was nerves or not, that he was partially, dropping himself on the ground, over swinging himself completely. As far as Philip Rowe, on the other hand, if we take a look back on his Dana White Contender Series fight, good, confident movement, light on the feet. I mean, this is a guy that's could be a star here in the welterweight division if he just kind of keeps developing a lot of his skills, man. 6'3" with an 80.5-inch reach. Like he said it himself after he got the knockout win. I got a longer reach than John Jones, and I fight at 170. You know what I mean? I found that funny. I mean, I think really what it is it's like a guy like Phil Rowe. It's like teaching him the right things, teaching him how to use the length, developing kind of those things. Because we saw him even do some things, but in the fight against Shabazian, the whole thing that I like to point out is I think Shabazian was 6'4". I think Shabazian was taller than Phil Rowe. I mean, obviously Phil, 80.5-inch reach, you're not getting longer than that. I think Shabazian had about a 77, something like that. So even still at the disadvantage. But I mean, was getting pressed a little bit in that fight. I mean, the first round didn't look too good. Got knocked down with some hard shots, but I mean, he got up and got on his bike. He was able to kind of move well, and we saw him go through adversity, which is, I think, something we like to see, especially against a tough opponent, a decent level opponent. I mean, like I said, not too much output in the first after getting dropped, kind of just throwing a couple shots here and there. Kind of started to walk Shabazian down kind of when he got his head back at the end of that fight. And then he was kind of throwing a lot of heavy leg kicks when he does throw them. That is something that I noticed that looked really good from him. I mean, I don't know if you really want to get into a leg kick battle with Gabe Green, but with the length of the legs, the length that he has, there's so many upsides for a guy like Phil Rowe in this fight. I mean, he was looking for a lot of clinch off the break. I mean, he ended up rocking him out of the break in a good, I think it was an uppercut and then a left hook. I mean, he ended up getting the takedown after that. Shabazian was able to actually reverse out of that position, so it was good work on him. I mean, he was doing well. I mean, in his full guard when he was working there, standing and posturing. I mean, and then in the third round, pretty much just rocked him. Like the second round, from the first round, it was such an upturn to the second round after getting dropped. It's almost like he woke up. And then the third round, he went out there and finished him in about the first 10 seconds of the third. I mean, I think the pure striking height, like I was saying before, Phil Rowe, and being vicious. We've seen him push through adversity already. That's a huge thing. I think he's much better than guys that are smaller than him. He's mentioned that before. I mean, I think it's just a very talented guy. Already on a 7-fight win streak, 7 finishes in a row, 4 submissions, 3 knockouts, man. Dangerous guy for anyone. I mean, especially a guy who hasn't had a proper debut in the UFC like Gabe Green. So, I mean, super dangerous. I think Phil Rowe takes this. Probably I'd have to go by finish, just looking at the whole, uptick of things and how it is. What are you guys thinking on that fight?
Oh, this is gonna be a great fight. I think actually now that I see this, they're probably gonna put this as the first fight of the night. They'll flip it 100%. Start us off with a bang with this one, because I think this is pretty much guaranteed finish from somebody. These are 2 guys, finishers, with especially that reach differential, what is that, 7.5 inches?
Yeah.
It's either we're going to see probably Philip Rowe having a ton of success keeping him at range, or it's Gabriel going to have to take some damage, come on the inside, and fucking probably land something good himself, or Gabriel might have his strategy might be to try and take it to the ground and submit him. Obviously, they both got a bunch of submissions on the ground. If you can try and get one of those, if you can get on top of a guy, sometimes those longer limbs, they can start becoming a little bit more of a disadvantage once you can kind of try and you can extend them a bit more. But yeah, you definitely don't want that guy like that on your back, or definitely not a good idea. Maybe to try and shoot in. So easy to slip in just those arms. It's insane. It's absolute insanity to have that amount of reach at welterweight. And I went and looked out. That guy who was 6'4" only had a 74.5-inch.
That's what I mean, right? What did I say, 76, 77? I said 77, so close.
That's pretty short for a 6'4" guy, though.
What's going on, IBT? What's going on, Boone? Didn't want to interrupt. What's going on?
No, I think this will be a great fight. I'll probably just I'm not going to bet against a guy that's got 7.5-inch reach advantage, 7-fight win streak, all finishes. Come on. What am I, dumb? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm surprised to see Phil Rowe as an underdog. I think this fight should be even, if not have him as the favorite slightly, just because of his reach advantage. And I think they're pretty even on the feet, but I'd give the advantage to Rowe potential-wise. He could he could be levels above Green and show that. I don't see Green ever being levels above Rowe.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely take the value with Rowe as an underdog here.
100%.
Absolutely. And so I was gonna say I don't know if did you mention, but they're like their same opponent they have is the Leon Shabazian, and they both finished them. They both Gabe Green punches round 1, and I think it was 3rd round, right, for Phil Rowe, which was his.
I gotta watch the
Contender
Gabe Green
Series
versus Shabazian fight. I have not watched that.
Yeah, it'll be
I gotta watch
interesting.
that. How long was that ago?
That was 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think this will be a great fight.
Okay.
I think it could go either way, but you'll probably see me betting on Phil Rowe. What you got, LJ? You got any takes, brother? Nope. Okay. I'll bring up the. Sorry, I'll share my screen here.
Yeah, just share it and
Yo.
I'll just add it in.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Philip Rowe, but I'm not confident. I mean, Gabe Green, like you said, he fought Daniel Rodriguez on short notice. So got the piss beaten out of him by Daniel Rodriguez, getting countered a lot, just walking forward. Really just got credited for his toughness in that fight. Didn't really do much. Lost the unanimous decision.
Yep.
He's been knocked out twice previously. Early on in his career, then he came back 2 months later and got 2 months. Yeah, came back 2 months later and got knocked out in the first round by Jalen Turner.
Yep.
Now the only way to gauge these two fighters between both of them is the fights they've both had with Leon Shabazian. I mean, Leon Shabazian, let's be honest, he is terrible. I mean, 7-2. The only time he's ever fought a fighter with a winning record, i.e. in Gabe Green 4-2. He was 4-0 at the time. He got knocked out in the first round. Then he's fighting 0-0 Christopher White, 0-0 Tyree Carter, 18-40 Daniel McWilliams. Then he loses to Phil Rowe. But he's dropping Phil Rowe in the first round. And Phil Rowe kind of looks out of it for a sec.
Yeah,
but then
like he wasn't
back
awake.
in the third round.
Yeah.
And knocks him out. But Leon Shabazian, to compare these fighters against each other, I mean, it's not much to go off. So I'm not confident. But Phil Rowe with an 80-inch reach is crazy. So I can't really bet against that. I think he's just gonna jab his way to a unanimous decision.
Yep.
Just be on his bike defensively.
5-1. Wow.
That's money. That's money in the bank. See, this is
No,
why
but
we
no. What do you
should've
mean,
kinda
money
already-
in the bank? We're just talking about this guy has 7 finishes in a row. Did we not say that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's very similar to Andre Ewell.
just, yeah.
You know, where Andre Ewell who's fighting
Yeah.
higher up on the card. You know, where very
The
low
reach mods.
reach for their
Card of the reach mods. And Kamaru's got a crazy.
Even look at
reach.
him by TKO. This is a fight where it's like, I'm all over Phil Rowe, I think. Probably.
Oh, yeah,
I'm all
and I think
I was
we've all
going to look
we all
at the second or third round.
Go
in
down
that
to it.
one
Go down
specifically.
Dan's got it
Yeah.
on screen. Dan, scroll on down.
Oh, no, it's back.
Just
I
go
would
one
say,
with the fight and
yeah,
just go
it was
one.
back up.
I would say Phil Rowe, if you like props, is line for the submission as well. If you want to look at that prop, because he's had 5 rear naked chokes on his record.
Yep.
And I mean, if he's popping Gabe Green with the jab and he's hurting him and he's just staying behind that reach, and then you see Gabe Green panic wrestle, he can easily grab a neck.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, people. I think pretty much we're all riding with Phil Rowe on this one. So
Row.
That's
Someone
what you
say
call a
row,
consensus pick.
row your boat. Someone say row your boat down to Cashville with us. You know what I mean, people?
I think that
Definitely
way.
go
With, we could see
Phil
it be
Rowe
close
by
to-
decision with that value, though.
What is the fight to go the distance?
Wow,
Yeah, I know.
Crazy. Like
No,
just
not to
too
go the
fit-
distance. No, that one. Yeah, I just want to look at it. Okay, I'm
Not
just looking
worth
at
it.
that.
That's
I'm just
not
looking at it.
worth
I'm
it,
just
in my
looking at it.
opinion.
I'm just looking at it. I'm just looking at it. I'm just looking at it.
Yeah, I honestly don't think this goes the distance, to be honest.
No, I think we could definitely see somebody slipping. Like with those arms just slipping under somebody's neck. Like could see Gabe Green.
Oh,
could
it's
sleep.
Hedgeville on this fight.
Now you're talking about hedging it. What are you talking about? It's a
No,
consensus
decision
pick.
and knockout. We just go boom, boom, boom. I think all the money being
Yeah,
on
or
the
just
underdog.
George bet big on the dog.
No, yeah, I don't mean hedging the winner. I don't mean hedging the other guy. No, I mean hedging the dog outcome because I think that just the numbers are just too good in this fight. I'm all over
Well.
Phil Rowe. I think we all are, consensus style. We
Is there
will.
anything else we need to look at, or are we moving on?
Nah, we'll move on here. We'll get on to this one. I mean, this is another good fight here, people. Another good fight here. Brian Boom Kelleher. Ricky
The
Simone
prelims, like, it's starting so hot, and then it's just fucking dog meat. Like,
cools off real quick. It's a featherweight bout at 145 pounds between Ricky Simone, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach, and Brian Boom Kelleher, 5'6", again, as well, with a 64-inch reach. So we got the 6-inch reach advantage for Ricky Simone. 5-2 in the UFC for Ricky Simone with a 17-3 MMA record. Brian Boom Kelleher, 6-4 in the UFC with a 22-11 MMA record. Ricky Simone, 5 knockouts, 3 subs. Brian Kelleher, 8 knockouts, 10 subs. Looking at Ricky Simone's last couple of fights, looking at the Coutinho-Perello fight, that was a submission win for Ricky Simone. He was pretty much looking to close the distance and got takedowns pretty quickly, trying to control Perello pretty much the entire fight. Perello was getting back up for a lot of that fight, but, Ricky Simone being relentless in that fight, consistently on him throughout. Once he broke a takedown, or once he got right back up to his feet, stayed on in the clinch, would get the slam takedowns regardless after, attacked the legs a lot in that fight, not letting him breathe at all. Just a crazy pace and pressure throughout that whole entire fight. And, he was able to, get the head and arm choke because I think he was just able to soften him up a lot because Perello wasn't like an easy guy to walk through. And I think in that fight, Perello pretty much just withstood what he could and then he was out of there. As far as the Ray Borg fight, that was a split decision win for Ricky Simone. I mean, tough fight to call. I mean, looking at press, mix it up with punches a lot. I mean, because if people do, I know there's a lot of Ray Borg fans out there. Movement, picking his entrances the entire time, trading, kind of letting Borg commit, getting some takedown slams, but he was pretty much just using that same kind of style, that heavy top pressure, beating on the ribs. Borg got up a couple times, shot some takedowns. Both men were engaging in a lot of scrambling in that fight where, both guys would reverse positions quickly. Either one guy get the takedown, and the other guy not. Simone was just, being kind of more active, doing a lot of good body work. Some more slam TDs followed by knees, legs on the ground. Knees on the ground and just some good ground and pound. I think that throughout that fight, once he kind of had that first successful round, he was kind of able to dictate the rest of the fight throughout, with kind of feinting and heavy boxing in that second round. And then that third round was kind of a little bit more of a mixture as well. But his game gets changes a little bit more once he's able to take you down and do some work on the ground. Obviously, he can feint in and stuff. And he thinks he can beat you on the hands and feet. He'll definitely go for it. We saw with him go at fucking Uriah Faber and get schlepped. So, as far as Brian Kelleher goes, like I said, 6-4 in the UFC with a 22-11 record. This guy has been around in the MMA world. He's had some fights. 8 knockouts, 10 subs. He's a guy who commonly takes fights on short notice. The last fight was against Ray Rodriguez. Ray Rodriguez actually ended up taking the fight on short notice because Kelleher's opponent fell out. And, Ray Rodriguez, can't really say much about him. Pretty much got walked down. He went in shooting for the takedown as he was getting beat on the hands and feet and got caught in a guillotine by Kelleher. Kelleher's got a very good guillotine. And that's kind of a big key in this fight. I think if he beats Simone, that's kind of what makes it a little bit of more of a pick'em fight for me in my eyes. Is you've got Kelleher's ability to clinch up that takedown, and Kelleher's got power. Kelleher's eight knockouts. He's put out some guys before. He's been put out himself, but Brian Kelleher is no slouch on the hands and feet and can definitely turn it on. And it's kind of a story of what Brian Kelleher we see in the fight. You know what I mean? It's not always going to be the same guy, especially against, who he's going against in the fight. I think that, Ray Borg maybe having learning his lesson against a guy like Uriah Faber. As far as the Cody Stamann fight though, between Brian Kelleher and Cody Stamann, that was a good fight. Good kicks and hooks, but he was kind of getting touched up. Somewhat a slower pace, but he was kind of getting pressured, but still throwing good shots. He's kind of a slow starter, like I was saying, and it's kind of, we don't know who we're going to see past the point of starting slow, right? That's kind of the whole problem about MMA. Your body can get so damaged in that slow starting time period that we might not see you when you fully come to as being a guy that's able to win the fight. So in this fight, I pretty much predict a hard brawl. Both gamers. Kelleher, one of those guys that's, got the power, like I said, to take you out at any moment. He's got that submission game to catch a guy like Simone, especially with Simone, from what I've seen, shoots in with some very suspect takedowns. You know what I mean? Some takedowns that could end you getting caught by a good guy that has jiu-jitsu skills. I think the good question is Simone going to have that hands and feet work to be able to put it on Kelleher? Is Kelleher going to start touching him up? It's going to be kind of a hard fight to predict at this point. I think we know that Simone's going to want to mix up the takedowns for sure. Is he a guy that's going to get caught? I don't really think so. I think Ricky Simone is that kind of guy that's grindy enough to kind of win this fight. He's kind of well-seasoned enough now, like I was saying. He's been through a couple of those fights, and I do think like he's the kind of guy to beat Brian Kelleher. So I'm taking Simone via decision. What about you guys? What are you guys thinking, Dan?
Yeah.
Let LJ take this one off first.
LJ, you go.
Okay. Yeah. I've got Ricky Simone in this one, but like the previous fight, I'm not very confident with it. I mean, Ricky Simone. I'm just going to bring his record up quickly.
Oh, I'm not super confident about this one.
His last fight, round 2 submission, looked good, but the guy who's fighting, not UFC level whatsoever.
Yeah.
Loses unanimous decision to Rob Font.
Yeah.
The fight that I was concerned about, split decision to Ray Borg. I mean, I think he won that fight pretty decisively. Watching it back, but Ray Borg was giving him some trouble early.
That's what I mean. That's kind of the whole problem.
Round 1 loss to Uriah Faber, got knocked out in 46 seconds, and it was a bad loss because he was a sizable favourite. It wasn't a massive favourite, but just comes in there and just gets dropped by the only
he was
punch.
Talking shit too.
The only punch that Uriah Faber has in his arsenal, an overhand right. I mean, he was literally saying it before he got hit with it. Hit me with the overhand right. Hit me with the overhand right. That's what Uriah Faber said in the interview. He said, hit me with the overhand right, and he gets hit with it. Gets face planted, hits the canvas hard, and gets taken out by 39-year-old Uriah Faber. And to me, Brian Kelleher has fought the better competition. I mean, his last few. A loss to Cody Stamen. Ray Rodriguez, Hunter Azure, and O'Day Osborne don't do anything to me. Don't do anything for me. But he's got in there with a better competition. Marlon Vieira, John Lineker, Montel Jackson's good. Cody Stamen, he got out wrestled in that fight, but he looked good. He didn't get completely blown out of the water. That's Cody Stamen. I don't think Ricky Simone's fought anyone on the level of Cody Stamen yet. So I'm gonna go with Ricky Simone by decision, but I'd say Brian Kelleher's live later in the fight, maybe late in the second round, third round.
Yeah,
Ricky Simone's gassed out in the past, and we've seen that before.
Yeah, this will be an interesting fight, for sure. Like obviously,
I've got Ricky Simone decision. I think he's on that level where he can beat a Brian Kelleher.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think on paper, this is definitely a fight. I'm definitely leaning on the same direction as you guys towards Simone decision. On paper, even though it's at 145, he should still have. He's got some great wrestling. Like his ability to go in there and out wrestle guys like Merab Devashvili and Ray Borg is it's incredibly impressive. Like, will he be? But it's a risky. Yeah, but like you said, he got getting slept by Uriah. Like we see Ray Borg get hit. Like, he gets clipped sometimes. Some of these fights, even though he's dominating guys, like Pat says, he'll throw it. He'll go for some crazy fucking shot across the middle of the octagon. You're like, this is MMA, dog. What are you doing, man? Like, Brian Kelleher's not gonna be having that shit. And if you get a bit too sloppy, Guillotine City. Brian Kelleher's got one of the best guillotines.
City, man.
Maybe in the UFC, like, it's a deadly guillotine. It's not even have to be tight, and he's fucking tapping guys like. So
just the angle he comes in at, it's so fucking bad.
I can kind of see it in my.
Some of those
as I said it, I
videos,
can really see it in my brain.
Yeah,
Round
I-
three.
I think
Round
Brian
three-
Kelleher at plus 200 is crazy.
No, but in my mind, I see it in round 3. Ray Borg, maybe a bit more tired because he's dealing with the bigger guy. Even though maybe he's not draining his body, he's getting hit a little bit. Round 3 goes for some sloppy ass
Stop saying
takedown.
Ray Borg, Ricky Simone.
Sorry,
Keep
Ricky-
calling him Ray Borg.
Yeah, whatever. I said it
Yeah,
twice.
Ray Borg doesn't fight for the company anymore.
I said it twice.
Salute, Ray Borg.
Ray Borg's a sad one.
This
Ray Borg's
Pepsi's
a
for
sad
you.
one. No, but yeah, sloppy takedown to 10th round 3 slips in. Kelleher slips in the guillotine. Yeah, and especially we'll bring up the odds, but I'll let Douglas
Yeah,
give
Doug,
his take before we go
cook
into
while
that.
Dan brings him up. No, bring him up now, and I'll keep going. Let go.
I'm taking the underdog here. I had Ricky Simone. I have it written down that I was taking Ricky Simone by decision, but as I sit here, I think Kelleher is going to finish him. I think Kelleher is going to either catch him with something on the feet, or he could, like you said, catch him with one of those guillotines. I was thinking a bad shot. All it takes is one bad shot, and Simone's going to have to shoot to win this fight.
Yeah.
Which is, it doesn't make sense because he's such a high level wrestler. Like, why are you doing this sloppy shit? It's a shame.
I could see. I checked there's definitely some value in Kelleher by stoppage, but I think there's enough with him and money line to take it that way to see if he gets a knockdown, steals a 10-8 round or something. I could see him winning by decision.
There we go. There we go. Here we go.
I definitely think that, considering it's Simone's first fight at featherweight, it should be closer. The odds should definitely be closer.
Kelleher's power is a real 145er power too. It's not a warm up fight for sure.
And he gets rocked by bantamweights, like gets finished by Uriah Faber, old ass Uriah Faber. Like
True.
This is not like
that was a bad knockout as well, and it was quick into the fight.
It's Ricky Simone is not a safe pick at 1.4. I think that's what, to say the
Ricky
least.
Simone. The only question mark for me is, like you said, it's his first fight at featherweight. He
Let's
cuts
go.
far too much weight.
There's 17-1.
He's a typical UFC wrestler. He doesn't care about cutting a ton of weight. I mean, he cuts way too much weight. In the last fight against the guy, I don't really know his name, but he looked, like I said, I think I said it on this stream, he looked absolutely cooked at the weigh-in. Just looks terrible.
Yeah, I do remember you kind of saying that.
Yeah.
So he's coming back a quick turnaround, but he's at 45, so his body's probably going to respond to it better. It will be, if he gasses out in this fight at 45 against Kelleher, like late, maybe if he still wins, but Kelleher's coming on strong in the third round, landing punches, maybe submission attempts, we fade Ricky Simone from now on, because that means that his cardio's just notoriously bad. I mean, if you're gassing out at 45 when you have not a big of a weight cut to 35, that's just concerning for me. So if he does gas out, we will fade him.
I like that. Fight 10 in the third round. Because we could see it two ways. If it ends up being more like if we see a Ricky Simone with like a with better cardio,
that just looks great,
just dominating Kelleher, beating him down on the ground, chokes him out in the third round like he choked out Dvalishvili. Yeah, that's kind of good.
Yeah,
it's kind of good.
Yeah, there's a few round 3 bets I've got, and there's one later on which I'll bring up, which I think's really live, and I'll break it down.
Yeah, that Kelleher stoppage right there.
There's a few
I like that.
round 3 bets that
I don't see him winning the decision. So
LJ, you keep speaking the language. I'm putting him in the bet.
Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys not see Kelleher winning decision, or do you see a path to that? Like, I personally don't really.
Kelleher by decision?
Like, I don't see that. I don't see his path to winning a decision.
Unless the takedown, I mean...
Unless the power, right? Unless he... So say this.
Like, Simone will take him down early. He will.
Simone wins round 1. Looks great. Comes out second, looks a little bit more gassed. Gets dropped by Kelleher at one point because he gets sloppy. Or something happens, right? He gets put in a submission, escapes out of it, but Kelleher winds up on top, bombing on him a little bit. Simone gets up, ends up losing that round, or like I said, or getting dropped later in the round if he doesn't get dropped then. And then, we've got a round 3 that's toss-up. We've got Ricky Simone that's already looked tired in the first, that's then been damaged and hurt in the second. Then, Kelleher might be a more viable pick for, a guy winning by decision, right? Like, not being able to get Simone out of there. The extra weight might help his chin. Because we've seen that before, man. I know there's guys that get chin checked at lower weights. Man, he's a pretty big guy for, like I said, only 5'6". He's a short, stocky motherfucker. So, I mean, sometimes cutting that weight does have an effect on your chin a little bit. And it does have an effect on your senses and where you're at. But that's just my opinion on it.
Well, we don't even need to really watch the fight, I guess. You just cooked it up right there.
I mean, I was trying to get, for any of you guys that are wondering, for the combat cannon, and I would advertise it now. I'll do it later a little bit. I mean, because I cooked up a new intro for combat cannon. People, combat cannon this week. Combat cannon. Man, I wish I could get, and I tried to get it because Twitch is having a problem doing it, and it's hard to clip the YouTube videos. I mean, I don't know why, as far as the audio goes. But, man, I called the flying knee on the last bet breakdown. I said knee. I said he's going to get knocked out by a knee. So I wish I was there because my reaction would have been fucking great. You know what I mean? It would have been great, but I mean, Dan doesn't even believe me. I'll drop the timestamp.
Clipper, it didn't happen. Oh, I'm having audio issues.
Hey, man, I tried to post it. If Sherm's on Twitch still, if Sherm's still here on Twitch, Sherm, check my clips. No, Sherm, check my clips.
Anything.
No. Listen, it was loading. It was loading for like 2 hours. Yeah, fuck you guys.
I got my over in pit to an absolute T, but I was off by a round. But I still hammered him by knockout.
Man, I wish I was alive.
Units
I wish I was alive. And like Dan was telling you, I'm sure he was telling me, he was dropping stories about fucking John Jones, Cormier too. I'm missing big events. You know what I mean? Missed big events in the past due to
and Clay Guida getting me the bag.
Yeah, God, you called the fuck out of it.
I love fading Michael Johnson.
That's going to be a new thing now, though.
Favorite thing to do, and now we get to fade him in bare knuckle FC. From now on, we get to fade him in bare knuckle because he's going there. You know, he's on the chopping block.
Oh, I can't wait to do that stream. I can't wait to do that one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on to the next fight here before we start getting into the bullshit, because we are working our way through a pretty not bad. I'm not thinking even this is a bad pace. I mean, next fight here. This has gotten moved up, and I think the main event. This isn't main event yet, though, technically, right? So where is this on your card? Is this
you're
the next
still
fight
showing
on
the
your card?
last one? It's it's supposed to be Mallory Martin versus
Gutierrez.
Yeah, that one.
It's the women. Okay.
Oh, is it? All right. Okay.
Okay. See, it's all.
I think it's the women. Let me double check that.
I think it is too. In my notes,
yes.
it's the women. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
So this is a strawweight bout at 115 pounds between Polyana Viana, who's 5'5" with a 67-inch reach, and Mallory Martin, 5'4" with a 64-inch reach. Polyana Viana, 2-3 in the UFC with 11-4 record, 4 knockouts, 7 subs. Mallory Martin, 1-1 in the UFC with a 7-3 record, 2 knockouts, 2 subs. Viana versus Emily Whitmire. She's coming off a submission win, pressing pretty good head movement in that fight, able to throw some good punches, taken down pretty early, ended up on the bottom, scrambled. I mean, like, Viana's kind of one of those girls. I mean, she's kind of able to do work from a lot of different spots. And I mean, I think that she's kind of one of these people that's progressing a little bit and kind of, you know, building her career a little bit and kind of figuring out who she is as a fighter. Like I said, 2-3 in the UFC. She's kind of getting thrown at it to be a test for Mallory Martin. She's coming on 2 other fights, also all losses. So she got the sub win over Whitmire, in which, you know, she was actually working well from the bottom and then able to isolate that arm pretty quickly. And like I said, take the submission win in that fight. Her 2 fights before that were losses. Veronica Macedo, submission loss, and then Hannah Cypher's split decision loss, which doesn't look too great. A good comparison fight, and that's why I only really did 1 fight's worth of research on this fight, is the Hannah Cyphers fight. Mallory Martin's last fight being against Hannah Cyphers. Like I said, 1-1 in the UFC, 7-3 record, 2 knockouts, 2 subs. She just fought Hannah Cyphers and got a submission win over Hannah Cyphers. She was kind of calm, waiting for shots, kind of feigning her out, able to close in and out against her pretty well. Looks to kind of time and land. She threw a good jab, a decent jab throughout that fight. I mean, she was knocked down abruptly, actually, from Hannah Cyphers from a pretty good shot, and probably in some cases might have even gotten stopped. I mean, in that fight, I mean, she was just falling to the ground a couple of times. I mean, after she got dropped, I mean, just didn't look great. I mean, she then ended up looking for the TD game plan. Obviously didn't want to stand anymore with Cyphers after being dropped. She got right into side control. She got great ground and pound, then got right into full mount, got the back of Hannah Cyphers. She kind of just turned into it and got the RNC. This fight, I would probably say, is going to be more a battle of game plan. who's kind of more ready for the other person coming in, who's improved a little bit more, and who's kind of ready to win this fight. As far as if it's gonna go to the ground, who's gonna have that kind of ability on the ground. I think that Mallory Martin is just a little bit stronger in the clinch in this fight. I think that she's going to have that ability. I think that if she gets on the ground on top of Viana, she has a little bit more heavy top pressure than a girl like Whitmire. I don't know. I think is she going to want to go on the ground with a submission game from Viana? I don't know. I think that it's a good question. It's a lot of questions in this fight. Man, I think I'd probably have to go for Mallory Martin. But I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I would not say bet this fight because honestly, parts of my head even tell me to go to Viana, and we've got these two women, and Viana's got like the more experience, more like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but I mean, something tells me Mallory Martin. What are you guys thinking?
So this is pretty much the fight later on in the prelims where if you need to go run and get some more beer or something, this is when you go.
Time to take a shit.
Fuck this fight. Like, I couldn't give a shit.
Man,
this is the one they should have got rid of earlier on the fight. This is like, doesn't belong on a pay-per-view.
Disrespectful, man.
Don't care about either of these fighters. Don't care about this fight. Not picking it. I refuse. Don't let me, bro.
Wow.
Don't let me. I'm not really that. I guess not.
Sound kind of sexist to me.
That's not sexist. I could hate a
Whatever
fight.
you want.
Your whole approach to it just sounded. You sound like Stephen A. Smith.
It's a terrible fight. I don't want to see it. Like, neither of these girls entertain me. Like, I'd rather at least one of them get thrown to the dogs against somebody good. Like, they're both, like, losing a fucking... Who did she lose to again? Hannah Cyphers? Like, fuck off. Like, I don't... like, if you're getting tagged up by Hannah Cyphers, which she did in that fight, like, God, she got clipped by Hannah Cyphers. Like, you're... I don't care. What do you think?
Well, I'm taking Viana by submission here. I think Martin's going to want to wrestle. I think they're pretty even on the feet. I think Martin's going to take the chance to wrestle, and I think it's going to backfire, and Viana's going to catch her in something in the end.
True.
Yeah. That's a good pick, that. I personally think, this is like Dan said, this is a perfect opportunity, man. First preliminary fight, this is just perfect time to just call the weed, man, and just take a walk for a bit or whatever you do.
Yeah, go have a joint. Go have a nice walk.
Mallory Martin, I mean, she's getting nearly rocked. She's getting rocked, dropped, and nearly stopped by Hannah Cyphers. Hannah Cyphers, I mean, the fight. I mean, Kevin Holland. I mean, what were they talking about with Kevin Holland? Hannah Cyphers. I mean, she had 4 fights in a row, all finishes, all brutal finishes. How is she not getting the fighter of the year? Okay. I mean, Hannah Cyphers, she's literally the worst that female strawweight has to offer. And she's getting dropped, rocks and stock. I mean, I'd go with Viana, like Doug said. She's live for the submission. Like last time, she was an underdog against the other girl, and she got a submission. So, yeah, I'll go with Viana submission. I mean, but I'm not betting it. I'd probably pick it, but I'm not betting it. Stay away from this fight, but yeah.
Agreed. Dan, you want to just show the line so we can fly through them real quick? So Barton's actually the favorite too, eh?
Well, when you get fucking dropped by Hannah Cyphers, it's kind of... Like, this girl's not good. Like, she can suffer, but she's not fucking... Neither of these girls.
And when I mean Hannah Cyphers 4 finishes in a row, she got brutally finished 4 times in a row in 2020. I don't mean she won the fights, guys. I mean she got finished 4 times in brutal fashion. She doesn't fight for the company anymore. I'm pretty sure she doesn't, but yeah, I think she's been caught.
I liked her when she was a part of the company. That's for sure. I was always a big fan.
So it always looked like a scared little cat. Yeah. Cornered in the audience. Fucking bad.
Look at this guy already making a parlay. You can see it, 24.9.
Don't please.
What a sicko. What a sicko.
It's not even that bad. It's not even that bad.
No, I know. It's right off my picks.
You might as well just be chucking notes out the window. And you might as well just be throwing money down the toilet, flushing it.
You just don't focus on the numbers. Just focus. Don't worry about it.
Oh, make the same bet. I'm glad you're going back to posting a parlay at the end like we did before.
I'm not posting anything now. I'm getting judged.
No, I
Even though
want you
this
to
is
post it. That's
pretty
that's
much all
what I
consensus
wanted you to do
picks.
before, and we forgot about it. Okay, let's get over this. Let's not even.
Yeah, we've already wasted enough time.
Yeah,
on
we
it.
wasted.
Move on.
Not. I mean, I don't even want to say that. But
Gutierrez, Ewell next.
Look at you, social justice warrior.
right here. No.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is
is
actually
a
a good
nice
fight,
fight.
man.
It's a
I
great
like this
fight.
fight. That's why they moved it to the main card, though, right? Like, I mean, catch
Yeah,
weight bout at
they know
140
this is going
pounds.
to be a good fight.
Yeah, big fight. Andre Ewell, 5'8" with a 75-inch reach. Chris Gutierrez, 5'9" with a 67-inch reach. Ewell, 4-2 in the UFC with a 17-6 MMA record. Gutierrez, 3-1 in the UFC with a 15-4-2 MMA record. Ewell, 7 knockouts, 4 subs. Gutierrez, 7 knockouts, 1 sub. Ewell's coming off a split decision win to Erwin Rivera, in which Ewell was mixing up pretty good with his long stance, very straight, rangy. He was able to defend the takedowns. He was looking for knees and elbows off the clinch and the break. I mean, he was attacking the body with knees and kicks good, counter punches well. I mean, deep sprawls. He then took the back, got reversed before the end of the round. I mean, Ewell looked a little bit tired in the start of the second round, but I mean, he was able to kind of come back and, like I said, eke out a split decision in that fight. I mean, a guy like Ewell has that extra reach and that a little bit, same height as most of his opponents, or maybe even sometimes in this situation a little bit shorter, but has that little bit of extra reach at his kind of frame, and he's kind of got the ability to do a little bit of everything, which makes him dangerous. As far as the Jonathan Martinez fight, that was a split decision win for Andre Ewell, in which he used his range, same kind of thing, kicks kept him at bay. He was getting pressed pretty hard in that fight from Martinez. He threw a beautiful counter right that dropped Martinez with about 3 minutes left in the first. I mean, looked pretty well in that, pretty good throughout that entire first round. Mixing the strikes up from head to body very well. Like I said, he was in the last fight. I mean, the only kind of problem we can always kind of see from Ewell is sometimes his defense fights with his head down, his chin up in the air a little bit sometimes. He was moving well in the third into that fight. I mean, still circling, picking the shots, constantly moving around the outside of the ring, just, the octagon, just using good movement. I mean, Ewell apparently got his arm compromised in around the second round from a high kick, so that ended up kind of taking a little bit out of him in the fight, but I mean, still able to pull off another split decision win. I mean, as far as the Marlon Vera fight, that was a KO loss. He was able to scramble away from the early takedown of Marlon Vera, mixed up strikes very well from head to body, kind of like he always does. Vera shot for a head and arm choke and pulls him to the ground. It was very tight, but he was able to shake him off, posture up, land shots from the full guard, using the beautiful jab. It was on display the entire fight. Definitely kind of started slowing down in the fight, but still had kind of juice to put shots up that were hard enough to rock Vera, but just wasn't able to kind of do it. He got taken down and got rained on with elbows and punches. The ref ended up stopping the fight. As far as Chris Gutierrez, like I said, 3-1 in the UFC, 15-4-2 MMA record, 7 knockouts, 1 sub. He's coming off a draw against Cody Durden, in which he was taken down early, had his back taken smoothly, hit with kind of pit-pat punches for the rest of the round throughout that fight from Cody Durden. Gutierrez was fighting against the takedown right off the bat throughout that entire fight, pretty much. Good second round as the takedowns are pretty much defended. He's able to dictate the fight a little bit more as, Durden got a little bit more tired, wasn't able to land it. Lots of kicks exchanged. Knocked down with a knee in the third, and he was able to pull him, put it on him as pretty much, like I said, Cody Durden gasses. We've seen that in his career before. Tons of leg kicks from Gutierrez throughout the entire fight. I mean, I think the fight should have probably been for Gutierrez, I think it was a little bit crazy, but there's some other fights on this card that I ended up rewatching that were even more just blatant, terrible calls, like the Bobby Green fight. We will get to that in a minute. I mean, but man, I do think that Gutierrez probably should have won that fight instead of it being a draw, but whatever, draw's a draw, refs are refs. It's going to be the way it is. As far as the Vince Morales fight, that was a knockout win for Gutierrez. He was pretty much hammering the hard leg kick throughout the fight, compromising that leg early, and then able to just land whatever punches he wanted and whatever combos he wanted. Ended up pretty much battering him in the second round and then finishing with leg kicks as the ref stopped it. He pretty much dropped him a couple times with the leg kicks. So it was a pretty good looking fight for Gutierrez. I mean, this is a kind of a hard fight to call. Gutierrez having that, and I believe I'm calling it correctly, an 8-inch reach disadvantage in this fight. but like I said, similar to, if not the same advantage in height. I mean, I might have got the reach wrong and then recorrected it and not corrected it in the notes. So someone let me know. I actually think the movement style and physical attribute of Ewell will be probably too much for Gutierrez. I think he moves too well. I think he throws his shots long and straight. I think that even the little bit of wrestling we've seen of Ewell isn't that bad from what we've seen in the spurts that we've seen. And I think that's definitely a reason that Gutierrez, I think that Gutierrez is definitely been calling Ewell out since the Morales win. Some would say probably it's because Ewell's defeated two of Gutierrez's teammates, and that maybe they have the game plan as far as finally for cracking the code on Andre Ewell. But I mean, like I said previously, Ewell was previously set to take on Stamen in this matchup. In my opinion, this matchup is actually probably a better fight for Andre Ewell. I mean, both guys are very good strikers. I think that Andre Ewell's got to use his distance, got to use that reach in this fight. I mean, this fight could even end up being a leg kick battle and Gutierrez battering the leg, but I think I'm going to have to end up siding with Andre Ewell to go via decision.
Yeah.
LJ, you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to have to go with Chris Gutierrez on this fight. I'm going to break it down. Andre Ewell, I mean, he's eking out split decision, Aaron Vieira. I'm not even going to bring up what Aaron Rivera's doing right now, okay? We're just not going to go there, okay? He's, not a fighter, not in the right frame of mind, you know what I mean?
I mean, God bless him. Hopefully he finds his help, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But,
God bless.
Aaron Rivera, not UFC caliber, in my opinion, just not that good. Eking out a split decision to Aaron Rivera. Now, the Jonathan Martinez fight, I think Jonathan Martinez won that fight.
Yeah, I do too.
Ewell spent 72, this is official UFC stat, he spent 72% of the second and third round against the fence. That means he was on his bike the entire night. I think, pretty sure it was the entire third round he was on the back foot. Now, bear in mind, yeah, his arm was compromised, but he's gassing out in these second and third rounds, and he looks terrible. Now, Chris Gutierrez is got great leg kicks. His last win, Vince Morales, he just hammered the leg and got the TKO stoppage in round 2. Now, ignore the draw with Cody Durden. I don't know what he was doing in that fight. He got taken down, got held down. Cody Durden took his back for like most of the round. A huge control time. Got a 10-8 in the first round. Then Chris Gutierrez comes back, just outstrikes Cody Durden. I think he edged out the decision, but it ended up being a draw. Okay, I'm not mad at that. But besides that, the only fight he's lost in the UFC is to Hani Barcelos, and that was a rear naked choke loss in the second round. Besides that, and that's why I can see he's the favourite. I mean, he's a minus 163 favourite at the moment. Now, if you're going to bet this fight, don't bet it now. I'm going to wait until the weigh-in, because when people see that he sizes up with what's his name again? Ewell. Ewell's got huge reach. So this is why I'm not heavy on Gutierrez. But I think, personally, Gutierrez is just going to smash the lead leg. Mm-hmm. And this is one of my round 3 props. I'm going to bet Chris Gutierrez round 3 just purely because of Ewell gassing out in the third.
Got it.
Like I said, he's eking out split decisions to Aaron Rivera and Jonathan Martinez. I mean, don't take much away from the Jonathan Martinez loss. Jonathan Martinez is really good.
Mm-hmm. And
like before that, I mean, he was finishing guys in eking out split decisions to Henan Barao in 2018. I mean, that's crazy. He's 33. I can't wait to fade this dude. But I mean, all going well. Saturday night, I think Chris Gutierrez wins, and hopefully he gets a stoppage late in the fight. But it's the reach for Ewell that I'm concerned about. but that's really it. I mean, he's eking out split decisions to Henan Barral. Before that, he's knocking everyone out, finishing everyone. Then he gets finished by Nathaniel Wood and gets finished by Marlon Vieira.
Those were both in
Since
the third
that-
round.
Exactly, yeah. That's why,
Wow.
yeah.
And those are both guys that are going to come at, like they're going to come at you in a similar way that Gutierrez is going to come at you.
That's what I'm
Especially
saying. So
it's not it's gonna
all
be a
going
stand-up
well.
fight.
I'm hoping he gets past the reach. Now, a 75-inch reach at bantamweight is crazy. Chris Gutierrez with a 67-inch reach, not the best, but not bad for bantamweight by any means. You know, I think he might be able to make the adjustments necessary to get past the reach.
Oh, this is
He's going to be live in the third round. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm betting Chris Gutierrez
catch weight 140.
round 3.
Catch
what?
weight 140. This is a catch weight bout at 140.
Okay, I don't think that's really.
5 pounds, man.
Has either guy really ever had a problem making weight?
5 pounds going to
Ewell
the
gasses
arms.
out in general. Ewell for me, just gasses out in
You
general.
think it's because of is it shit cardio, or you think it's because of the weight cut, training himself to get cut? Like I don't know.
I mean,
Could be. I've never heard.
it could be either or, but
could be true.
even Chris Gutierrez's style plays into Andre Ewell's flaws. I mean, if he slows down in the third round,
You're right.
That's
You're
what I'm
right.
saying. The two guys that we saw
Chris
bring it to him
Gutierrez
and
comes
beat
out.
him.
He usually is a slow starter. He might probably lose the first round, maybe.
Mhm.
Hopefully, he comes out second and third round, hammers the lead leg, just pressures Ewell. Ewell's on the back foot, and then maybe round 3, he's live for a finish.
Yep, I hear that.
Well,
Dougie,
I
would
think.
Dan,
Sorry, I was
you
gonna say if I think if he does anything in the first round, it'd be to start hitting that lead leg up. Like those lows, he has some of those best leg kicks.
Yeah,
in,
he
in the
does.
UFC. Those are brutal.
Destructive leg kicks, yes.
And like a guy who doesn't have like a guy with a thinner frame like Ewell, I don't know, doesn't take too many. I don't even know if those legs can even make it to the third round. You know what I mean? Could happen earlier. And the fact that Pat's saying that he has a little bit more on the line, a little bit of vengeance for some teammates. I don't know. I mean, you could see him coming.
But like I said,
he did look a bit flat in that last one, like LJ was
Andre
saying.
Ewell 2-0 against Gutierrez's teammates, so maybe they got the fucking game plan too, right? It goes both ways.
That doesn't make fucking sense.
Makes
You
tons
can't have a
sense.
game plan against a camp.
Yes, you can.
Says who? Name one time that's ever happened.
Millions of times.
No.
Fights.
Lies.
All right, one way or another, I think we're all on the same page here. I think we all like Gutierrez here.
No, Pat's
probably
taking
later.
I'm taking the
sorry,
shit out of Ewell.
sorry, Pat's taking you, but I completely agree with LJ on this one. I think Gutierrez takes this one with late pressure, more volume in the second and third round. I'm not sure if it's decision or late stoppage, but I'm taking Gutierrez.
Yeah, it could be a real close decision. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting, especially.
Yeah,
with-
that's what I'm scared of. Ewell has the tendency to eke out these close decisions, and he ends up on top.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. I mean, that's
it's
why
the
I'm.
reach.
That's
He
why I'm
just gets these
picking
clean, nice
Gutierrez for a finish.
shots.
Because I don't think he wins the decision, Gutierrez. But Gutierrez is the favourite right now at -163. Not that much, not that big of a favourite, but I'm not betting it at the moment. I'm not going to hammer Chris Gutierrez at that price. So
No.
if you want to bet Gutierrez, bet him round 2 or 3. Bet him by finish or whatever you think. But wait until after the weigh-in, because I think the line's gonna go to a near pick 'em.
Yeah.
You'll
Dan, you
get a
want to
better
pull
price
up
on it.
I'd
Pull
love
the
it to go
bets.
to. I don't
Keep
know.
going,
I
keep
don't
going,
know
LJ.
if it's gonna go quite to a pick'em, but there's no full lines out for this fight.
Oh, so there's
Okay.
nothing. Okay, beautiful. So we're coasting.
I could
through
see
this
it going
one.
down to a -120 Gutierrez.
I love.
I mean,
that.
I
I'd
don't
hammer
see
shit out
many
of that.
people hammering Ewell, but people might just think, oh, he's fought.
So you think
It's not great
there
value.
is no line. there
Yes,
is
I
no
mean, I
line
can't
for
really
this
see
fight
many
at all?
people
No, it's
betting
1.6
Ewell,
to-
but
It's
What is
They have
1.6
a
to
money
1
line
for
only.
Gutierrez, 2.3 to 1 for Ewell.
Is it on here? Yeah. Okay. So okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. As long as Ewell is the underdog, I'm taking him as the dog for sure. Dogs are
Yeah.
gonna bark this week for sure.
Could be very close.
Next
Especially if you use
fight.
that jab.
Yeah, we'll pass off over that since that fight doesn't have it. I think it's Viana. No, it's not Martin and Viana because we've already done that fight. What is it now? Because I'm all twisted around.
Mohamed Lima.
Got it. Thank you. That fight is here. So yeah, this next fight, man. I mean,
Remember the name, baby.
yeah, I know this is gonna be. We'll probably spend a good amount of time on this fight. I mean, just from Dan's love of Belal Muhammad. I mean, there's a lot of things to definitely.
Muhammad. You're just as much of a fan of him as I am.
There's a lot of things to love, but I mean,
I don't know. You're literally just building up lies.
It's a welterweight bout at 170 pounds between Dhiego Lima, 6'2", 77-inch reach. I think that's actually 75. I think they fucked that up on Tapology. If you guys are reading that, I believe that's 75. Could be 77, right? The UFC could have fucked it up on one of their shows, right? And you know, Tapology could have it the right way, right? Who knows? He's 6-6 in the UFC with a 15-7 record. Belal Muhammad, 5'11", 71-inch reach. So there's right there, 6-inch reach differential. If his reach is a 77-inch reach. If it's 75, obviously that's 4 inches. Even then, 4 inches still pretty substantial. Belal Muhammad, 8-3 in the UFC with a 73 MMA record. 4 knockouts, 1 submission. Dhiego Lima, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's come off of a split decision win over Luke Jumo. And I mean, in that fight was in 2019, pretty much at the end of the year. So he's been off for easily a full year. I mean, pretty much a slow start to that fight. Lima kind of looks for these slow starts, these slower fights. I mean, in this kind of point, he's kind of a little bit laborsome, kind of likes to just kind of rip leg kicks, move around, keep his hands up high. His D is very good. I mean, he already within a couple of shots, just like his brother, he's able to fuck your legs right up quickly, and he's able to put you in a spot where you're going, my legs are fucked, so I better do something to this guy quickly and kind of put myself out of position, and that's when he starts to counter. I mean, he dropped him with a leg kick, started the second. I mean, used some good ground and pound. He was pretty much just lulled him into the pace. He was getting pressured at some points. I mean, he was even getting some takedowns and even working with 30 seconds. I mean, he was, like I said, pretty much the entire time just countering well, good pace. He was able to batter up that leg and eke out that split decision. I think that maybe even more, but I think the only reason why you see that as a split decision is because the way Lima, he just doesn't throw. Like, he just won't throw a lot of strikes, especially in that first round. He might even be considered a slow starter. In the Court McGee fight, that was a split decision win for Dhiego Lima. And in that fight, he was countering, like I said, the entire time as he's getting pressed very well, moving well, stepping in with shots well, mixing it up to the body. He was having really good takedown defense against a guy like Court McGee, which is a guy that we knew was going to try and shoot against him and take this fight to the ground, especially with Lima having that, you know, kind of bigger stature for a welterweight for sure. He's definitely a bigger welterweight. As far as in that the rest of that fight went, he pretty much defended all the takedowns through 2 and was putting shots on him well, moving throughout the fight. He was throwing minimal leg kicks in that fight, not throwing as many as we've seen him to date. He was dropped towards the end of the fight, but I mean, that might have been from a clash of heads, and that was within the last 5 seconds of the fight, and both men were just swinging in the pocket. As far as Belal Muhammad goes, his last fight was a UD win over Lyman Good. In that fight, he was pretty much getting pressured very hard, exchanging some shots, good fast punches in that fight, good takedown shots like we've always seen from Belal, able to shoot, and he's kind of, like he always says, he's kind of got this very well-rounded game where he's able to, you know, make a lot of different things happen, kind of read the fight as it plays and pick what's going to work for him best, because he does have a lot of weapons. He was creating a lot of good angles in that fight, kind of moving and drawing his opponent into the shots. He was getting clipped, and he got clipped against the fence at one point and then rolled out pretty well. He then got dropped and hurt bad towards the end of the fight with 2 huge hooks. He was then looking for the takedown. He wasn't able to get it. He was getting pieced up throughout that third. He was starting to get a little bit slower, and his shots were starting to get a little more drawn out. He got a good couple of takedowns. He was able to get a late takedown, which I think possibly won him the fight. No damage in that fight. No damage in that takedown. Like, he pretty much just took it with 30 seconds to go, took the back, put the body triangle in, and then fought hands for a little bit. As far as the Takashi Soto win, that was a submission win for Belal Muhammad. In that fight, I mean, he was pressuring a lot, landing more, heavy on the hands and feet. when pressuring a lot of shots. He looked open to land. He was looking for the clinch for a lot in that fight. Beautiful jab. He was looking to hook over the top as well. I mean, mixing it up well, overextending a little bit, looking for some of his shots. But I mean, he looked for a lot of takedowns in that fight. And I mean, that's kind of why he was able to finally fight for that takedown, get the back, and then get the finish to Soto. I think without saying too much about it, because I know obviously, like I said, a lot of people, we're probably going to talk about this one for a couple of minutes. I think that the style that Lima brings to this fight, I think that it's not good for what Belal wants to do. I think that just depending on what we're going to see as far as, I think that unfortunately, I think Belal may get drawn into a slower fight with Lima. If Lima moves well, if Lima looks good, I think that's one of the big questions, right? And why he's probably, a lot of people are picking against him. It's like, well, we haven't seen this guy fight since, somewhat 2 months before the end of 2019, right? So I think that's kind of a question, right? But I think Belal's probably going to look to crash, make an impact with his wrestling and his shots to the body. I think this fight could definitely be about takedown defense. I think a lot of people are saying that. I think that a lot of people are thinking that Belal's just going to want to work Lima on the ground. But I don't know, man. It's a good question. Is Lima going to have the ability to deal with that kind of pressure? I mean, I'm excited for this fight at least. Like I said, huge fan of Belal Muhammad. I mean, I just think that it's going to be a Dhiego Lima fight. I think that it's going to be Dhiego Lima. I see something about Dhiego Lima in this fight. I don't know what are you guys thinking?
Really? You're at Lima's your pick?
Yeah.
By what? How do you think he wins it?
Decision.
Decision? Yeah, you think you're nuts. The only way I think Lima can win this fight is if he catches him. I don't know. I don't think element of MMA where he's more proficient than Belal really at this point, especially as a less active fighter. Fought worse guys, the light competition being like Tim Means. He got finished in the first round by Tim Means. Obviously, it was a close split decision against Tim Means, but I don't know. I thought Belal won that fight pretty handily. Like, Belal's been pretty much steadily improving. All his elements always been blended together well. I think there's always the chance he gets caught. Obviously, we saw it in the Luque fight. I was watching it earlier. That was a while ago. That was like 2017, though. Much younger Belal.
You watched the Alan Jouban fight?
No, I didn't watch that one.
Dropped 3 times in that fight.
Yeah, it's like also different. That was also 2017. Since then, he's probably seven of his last 8 wins. Seven of his last 8 fights in the UFC welterweight division.
I hear you.
Versus Dhiego Lima, who's what?
Couple in a row, and like I said,
three in a row against Luke Jumeau, Court McGee, and Chad Laprise.
Hello, yes, I'm back.
What a resume that is! Like, of course, anything can happen, but no, I think he will not win a decision. He will not win a decision.
One of the best welterweights in the world.
This is Belal Muhammad all day.
Yeah,
all day.
probably.
Thank you, LJ.
Probably.
But it's just the line's just way too wide. But I mean,
line's nuts.
Yeah, line's nuts. But Dhiego Lima, the poorer of the two brothers. Let's face it. Luke Jumeau split decision gets dropped. Split decision to Court McGee. I mean, Chad Laprise, former lightweight. Besides that, I mean, he's losing to Yushin Okami. Jesse Taylor is getting finished by.
Okay, Jesse Taylor went all the way through the Ultimate Fighter and was a hard fighter. Jesse Taylor would.
He was also on steroids, wasn't he?
Hey. Let's not
disclaimer.
Bend,
he may.
Let's
have
not
been.
bend the theory of reality. Let's not bend the theory of reality. He still went all. I think he actually got cut because he was the guy that. And this is a kind of a funny story. Wasn't he the guy that got cut because he was in the lobby after he won that fight? He was in the lobby of one of the big casinos in Vegas, trashed drunk with his belt on, screaming at people, and he tried to do some shit, and then Dana figured out about it, said, "You're cut." I think that was his career. Then they actually gave him a comeback season when they did the Ultimate Fighter
Yeah,
comeback.
yeah, that's a guy.
And then he
you
came
know who
back,
I am.
and then he came back and like, you know what I mean? This is a guy that's,
You're
but I
done.
mean, honestly, mentally not there, good fighter. Good fucking fighter. Like, I'd compare him to like he's almost kind of like a Michael Chandler. He's almost kind of like a Michael Chandler.
Yeah, Michael Chandler, 31 and fucking 16.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Relax,
Jesse
man.
Taylor. What happened with him was he got to the Ultimate Fighter finale,
Guy's still fighting.
and then
Oh,
before
Grasso,
the finale, he got pulled from the finale because he was partying. And then they had their redemption season. It was the Cody TJ season, and it was all guys who got pulled back. I think it was the Cody TJ season.
It wasn't the Cody TJ season because you're
Oh.
thinking about way earlier. The redemption season with Jesse Taylor was when they had guys like what the hell's the guy's name on it? I can't remember. He wore a thong.
let's
He was a
make a
black
note.
guy and
Let's
he
move
basically
on.
wore a thong.
Yeah,
You remember that guy? Oh, he's fucking Shawnee Michaels. That's the guy's name. Shawnee Money Michaels or something like that. Whatever. But yeah.
Okay, let's move it along.
Past the whole point of that.
We'll spend enough time with the
Yeah,
Ultimate
no,
Fighter.
I've got Belal Muhammad all day in this one. I think I think they're just on different levels as fighters. I think Dhiego Lima is a tier below Belal.
You're probably right. I mean,
Or
most
two.
of my heart wants me to pick Belal in this fight. I think, like you guys were saying, the line is not a line which I would pick Belal at for sure. So it's either going to be a dog. I'll call it a dog or pass line for me. That's probably easier to say. I think Belal probably has more options easily to win this fight. I think we're going to see some fucking crazy shit from Dhiego Lima. I think Dhiego Lima comes out and looks the best he's ever looked, but that's just me.
What's
I want
leading
to see
you
him at the
believe that?
weigh-in.
No, I
but
just
this
want to
is-
know what's leading you to believe that.
This
though.
is one of those fights that I was going to say
Like, you've
before
seen
this.
something on Twitter, Instagram.
Needs for me to wait. I need to wait for this fight to see it at the weigh-in for sure, too. To lock that in for sure. 100%. Like, I want to see Lima on the scale at
You haven't
170.
seen this guy in 16 months.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I want to see him on the scale. But I mean, a lot of guys we haven't seen in the past year. We could get into the argument of, this, that, and the third, and this, that, and COVID, and what the fuck do we know who's living in these guys' homes and shit like that. And they can't take fights. It's not the best time. Whatever, right? So we don't know 100%, right? Like you heard it. I listened to the full Diaz interview. COVID started going on, and, a lot was going on, and, I just kind of chilled. You know what I mean? That's kind of a lot of these guys probably. You know what I mean? So regardless.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
people who ain't out there hustling, but okay.
yeah, I mean, whatever. Hustling has a line with diseases, in my opinion. There's a line you can get drawn. You can just draw in the sand for certain
probably
people.
UFC fucking fights probably the safest place you can be in the world at the moment. That shit's locked down.
Whatever. Whatever. That's crazy to hear, but I mean, I know it's under more of a microscope, but you're seeing more. If you lived in a household with fucking 10 people and you guys were all pretty strict, I don't think a guy would test positive with COVID. I mean, we're getting what? We're averaging probably what? Two fights, a positive every two
All
fights.
right, you're a surgeon, not an
2 fights a card.
epidemiologist. Let's not get into it here. I don't know. Nothing's really looking like Belal. Maybe Belal finish. Like if he can.
Oh,
if he can get it
Dhiego
back.
by decision. That's where I'll be.
I would
See
bet
me- see me
Belal.
It's not even worth it. Why? What's the like?
What's the Dhiego straight up 4.2? Oh my god, the crazy disrespect. The disrespect.
Disrespect. Like what respect has he earned? Like do you not know? Like
Draws.
who you like, it's not his brother. Like who do you think this is?
Yeah, he's
guy
not
isn't
on
that
level,
good,
just
Patrick.
not on that level.
He's
I
not.
mean, if you look at
He could happen. I'm not
Muhammad.
saying it's not going to happen because Pat's going to be here. Oh, it's going to be Friday or Saturday. Belal got caught, and then Pat's going to be over here. I told you guys. When he
Heard
bet,
it-
like
heard it in the
he'll have
intro.
like
No,
he'll have,
he
like,
is
one
saying
unit-
decision though.
No,
Oh no, I
he'd be a
think he
crack.
catches
He'd
him.
be
No,
a
he'll drop
crackpot.
him. He'll drop him. I don't think he'll finish him. The only guy that's ever finished Belal's Vincente. Like I said, Joban dropped him 3 times and still couldn't finish him.
Well, you actually did say decision. I was the one that said he had to catch him, but whatever.
Well, I mean, whatever, man. Like, just listen to my shit. I mean, I didn't say right off the bat. Nowhere in my breakdown of my final statement did I say Lima's gonna catch him and knock him out. I mean, he'll drop him. That's for sure. We've seen it. Like if you go through Belal's fights, he's a little bit chinny,
That's for
especially
sure.
when he gets in a firefight. He gets chinny. Like regardless if he gets dropped, he gets rocked.
That's for sure, though. Like, if you're talking about 2017, or you're talking about Vicente Luque or like 2017 Alan Juban, it's a difference from Dhiego Lima.
Didn't even
Like, this
watch
is a
any of
short
those
no-
fights.
shorter
Didn't
notice
even
fight,
watch
like,
any of those fights.
this
I watched Juice. Okay, listen, I'm gonna be nice about it. I watched Juiced Up Lyman Good go in there and charge Belal Muhammad, who was easily in that fight the better mixed martial artist. No fucking doubt in the mindset. Like, you just walked in that fight and you went, okay, here's a guy that can literally just looks like a bodybuilder that can knock you the fuck out.
And he would
He's
take
got-
fucking Dhiego Lima's head off in the first round, but okay.
But listen, let me go at it. But he was still able to put shots on Belal Muhammad, right? And it's like like this is more recent than you could say the Lima. I mean, it's all if you want to go in and weigh MMA math, right? Like, it's all like, I don't even like to play it like that. I don't even.
But like,
think
how
it's
does
a good
that
way to play
MMA
it.
doesn't work? Doesn't work like that when he beat the guy. That's not how you can't be like, wow, he got hit, but like, because Belal was a tough motherfucker who probably realistically, he's a strong motherfucker, and he can take shots because he's a thick welterweight who could probably be, if he really wanted to drain himself, be a lightweight. But he goes in there and he fights these big motherfuckers, like fucking way bigger motherfuckers, like Lyman Good, like Curtis Millender. It's crazy, like Randy Brown, big motherfuckers. Belal just goes in there and he beats him up. 7 of his last 8.
That's what I was going to say as well.
Remember his name, bitch.
Belal Muhammad. I mean, the fight with Curtis Millender and the fight with Randy Brown. Both big dudes. I mean, the Curtis Millender fight, that was just a fight he was completely outmatched in speed, athleticism, power, and he just handled Curtis Millender. Like, Curtis Millender's nothing to jump up and down about. I mean, he's fighting in Bellator now, but you know, if you think, I don't think Lima's going to have the athletic advantage. I mean, I know he's taller, but I know where you're coming from with where Lyman Good drops it, but Lyman Good's got legit power. I don't think Lima's got that sort of pop.
Like, Diego's just
And Lyman Good's on that level. Lyman Good's like the just below top 15 level. Like, he sits around the top 20.
Yep.
Dhiego Lima's like top 30 on a, at best.
Yeah, like, that's generous.
I don't know where
in
you
welterweight, it's kind of generous.
Dhiego Lima. I know where you're coming from, but I just don't think he's on that level to even land a sort of punch like that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's MMA. It's a chance. Always.
Yeah. And I would say the line is too wide. I mean, it's too welterweight at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not
Exactly.
touching that. Like, I wouldn't.
But you
like,
see that under 2.5 that I got?
Yeah.
I don't mind that. At 3-1, it's kind of nuts. I think Belal could take his back. I don't know. I'm definitely not touching Belal. It's not even worth it.
I think
It's
Dhiego
not
Lima might be the more dangerous submission grappler, so I wouldn't see Belal submitting him or taking his back, really doing much with that.
I mean, that's fair. But, like, anybody can pretty much get submitted from the back when they're hurt. Especially, like, but yeah.
Or when they're tired.
Point.
You're right. Let's keep this rolling. I don't even know how many
I think we've
fights
pretty
done
much
so
juiced.
far.
I think we've juiced this one dry. Let's move on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Next fight, I believe, isn't the Pitolo fight. Is it the Green and Miller fight?
I think it is. I think Green Miller's the last one of the.
Or is it
Pitolo,
the
Vieira Hernandez get called off?
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, what?
No, I'm asking, did it, because I thought we skipped it.
You mean
No.
Munoz?
Okay, yeah.
No, you mean
Munoz Rivera.
when did we skip Rodolfo Vieira? We already skipped it?
Oh, that.
No,
that.
never. I thought you were, because you were asking if Bobby Green was next. Never mind. You've got it right. I'm just lost.
Okay, no, I'm making sure. I thought I was fucking.
Yeah, no, you've got it right.
Okay, perfect. We got a middleweight bout at 185 pounds between Rodolfo Vieira, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach, and Anthony Hernandez, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach. Rodolfo Vieira, 2-0 in the UFC with a 7-0 record. Hernandez, 1-2 in the UFC with a 7-2 record. Vieira, 1 knockout, 6 subs. Hernandez, 1 knockout, 5 subs. Vieira, he's coming off of a submission win over Sparbak Safarov. I mean, I wish I wrote the date down on that fight. Was that super long ago? I don't really have that. I mean, he was rocked pretty early in the fight with an up kick, instantly shot him for the strong double, pretty much went in relentless with the takedowns, slamming him once again, put the hooks in, not letting him get up, do a little bit of ground and pound. Ended up getting both hooks in, moving around perfectly in the top, and then ended up getting the arm triangle with about 3 minutes to go in the first round. As far as the Oscar Pichotto win, that was also a submission win from Vieira. In that fight, couple of good jabs to start it up. Looked for the single leg pretty much instantly as well. Good double leg shot against the fence. Was able to posture up a little bit, start to pass as his opponent was able to rise. He pretty much shot another takedown, looked stuffed, looked a little bit slower then, ended up shooting again, scoring again. This was later on in the fight. Ended up clinching and taking him down, landing again, heavy ground and pound, and then Pichotto gave up his back. He transitioned and they had an arm choke again and ended up getting that. As far as Anthony Hernandez goes, he's coming off a KO loss against Kevin Holland, in which he pretty much got lit up from the opening bell. Landed on with big kicks, beautiful elbow over the top, and then a knee to the midsection put him out in about a minute, not even about a minute and 40 seconds into the first. As far as the Julian Park, that was fight with Anthony Hernandez. That was a submission win for him. He pretty much looked to back Jung Young Park up throughout the fight, moving his head, coming in with punches, pushed forward predominantly boxing style throughout the fight. He took some heavy shots to try and get in and get that takedown. Almost choked out, shot him for another takedown. Almost got caught in a bunch of these bad submission positions. Hernandez pretty much looked high pace in that fight. He pretty much got rocked and dropped for lots of desperation takedowns. Even in the guillotine again, he was able to finally put some good shots on the ground and was able to finally get the Darce choke on Jung Young Park. So, I mean, in this fight, I think I see the cardio of Hernandez and him being naturally a smaller man is kind of what brings him able to stick and move throughout the fight. It just doesn't see him on par with the fight style from what I've seen. I believe he's probably going to look to trade in the pocket, probably get taken down by the world champion at one point, that being Vieira, and then he'll probably wind up putting himself in a position where he's getting choked. I see him definitely getting off with his striking for the first round and a half or first round. Or maybe even first just half a round. But then Vieira pretty much doesn't get up from what we've seen. I know this is a guy that's big muscle-bound guy who's, can get gassed and get finished for sure. But, I mean, I think that he's probably going to try and impose the game plan he wants to impose in this fight and probably try and get that submission win. Therefore, I'm going with Rodolfo Vieira. I don't know if I'm going to take him via submission but I think it probably would have to be via submission or via just stoppage. But I'm taking Rodolfo Vieira.
So there may be one day where Rodolfo Vieira runs into somebody in MMA that's gonna give him an actually good contest, and I don't know, have to be able to have good enough grappling defense, wrestling defense, and hands to piece him up. But that sure is in hell fucking Anthony Hernandez. Like, probably gonna get either pieced up or choked in the first round. I don't see it going any other way. Like I don't even think Hernandez's hands are better, to be honest. Like, if Rodolfo wants to go out there and just as a statement fight him, just stand up and fight him, he could probably outwork him and maybe even finish him. But, like, yeah, if he wants to go out there and just take him down and submit him, yeah, he's a world champion. Obviously, cocky as fuck, calling yourself the black belt hunter, but, like, yeah, like, somewhat justified, so. Another crazy line, but definitely picking Vieira in this fight.
Crazy.
What do you think, Dougie? Like, it's crazy, but not really. You know,
agree.
It's getting fed to him. Fluffy's Fluffy's a snack.
I think he should be the biggest favorite on this card for sure.
It could be like
I think Belal Muhammad actually is the biggest favorite, but I think Vieira should be the biggest favorite. I think he's going to get a submission pretty easily. I think if it goes to the ground, nobody's getting up. It's going to be a submission. So. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I might even go with round one bet, see what the odds are like.
Yeah, it's only I shared the screen, but Pat, we gotta wait for Pat to come back. You want to give your little quick take on it, LJ? I'm sure it won't be too much different from what we said already.
Rodolfo Vieira submission for me. I mean, but I will say the line is completely off. I mean, I do think Rodolfo Vieira was going to win and he's going to submit him in the first round, but I mean, the Safarov, Safarov.
Mm-hmm.
first round submission, but he gets busted. His eye gets busted up on that fan. He just looks stiff and muscle bound.
Yep.
And he just looks like you can just tell he doesn't have a good gas tank. That's why he's got all these first round submissions.
Yep.
But I will say the line's off, because if you look at Hernandez's last fight, I mean, he's a minus 120 against Kevin Holland. I mean, we can all agree Kevin Holland is a better overall fighter than Rodolfo Vieira. Can we agree?
Mm-hmm.
So he's a minus 120 against, and that's all that is a 39-second stoppage. I mean, he gets stopped with a knee to the body. It's sort of like he didn't get put out cold. He just got hit with a perfect shot to the body.
Yeah, it did look like he would have been probably put out cold
Rodolfo
after
Vieira
that, but still.
He just looks slow, stiff. I mean, like Dan said, there's going to be a dude that they give him, and he's going to be a big favourite, and we will fade him, and we'll make some money off him. But I just don't think it's going to be Anthony Hernandez. But like I said,
no, UFC's feeding guys.
If he beats Hernandez, they're going to give him someone just outside the top 15, and it'll be someone who's good enough to beat him. I mean, if Anthony Hernandez gets out the first round, and we see he's landing shots and he's not completely getting blown out on the ground, I mean, I would live bet Anthony Hernandez. But I just think Rodolfo Vieira round one sub, I just think he's too much for him. But we will find. There will be one day where we do fade him.
Yeah, the farthest we have seen him go, it says in Chuto, Brazil, back in 2017. He went to the third round, but pretty much other than that, went to the second round. Obviously, subbed Pajota pretty quickly. I don't know. Or is that at the end of the round? I think that's pretty quickly. Can't really tell.
I already went over it. We don't even need to repeat it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's probably pretty much. It's almost not really worth it betting on round one, but maybe do a classic little bet on round two. And just 5 minutes, just praying for him to survive.
I do think Vieira does it in round one. I mean, look at the loss to. I mean, the Jung Young Park win is a decent win for Anthony Hernandez. Round two Anaconda choke, but Marcus Perez Anaconda choke round two loss. Marcus Perez doesn't fight for the UFC anymore. He's on a 3-fight losing
The Joker.
streak. And Marcus Perez was able to completely just outmuscle him and control him. And Marcus Perez is not even on the same realm as Rodolfo Vieira. So I do think Hernandez, his weakness is definitely on the ground. So give me Vieira.
All right, I think we're move on to the next one. I think, Pat.
Okay. What fight is? Now it's the Bobby Green one, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second here. I gotta just.
It says on here it's the Maki Pitolo one, but I'm not sure. Probably is the.
Oh, is it the Pitolo one?
It says
That says it's
Pitolo
on the
and Jim Miller.
Tapology says it's on the main card. The Pitolo one.
Oh, yeah, no, it might be the Pitolo one next.
Okay, then we'll do.
Who fucking knows? Yeah, it would make more sense. But honestly, at the same they may be capping off the.
We'll do.
It would kind of make sense for them to cap off the prelims with those.
We'll do the Pitolo fight. And I'm gonna try and roll through this one a little bit quicker. Middleweight bout, 185 pounds. Julian Marquez, 6'2" with a 72-inch reach, taking on Maki Pitolo, 5'10" with a 73.5-inch reach. 1-3 in the UFC. 13-5 MMA record. 7 knockouts, 3 subs for Maki Pitolo. 1-1 in the UFC for Marquez. 7-2 MMA record. 6 knockouts, 1 sub. He's coming off a split decision loss to Alicio Di Chiricho. He came in overweight for that fight. That fight was in 2018, at the beginning of 2018 here, people. So we have not seen Julian Marquez in the UFC for a while. That was actually the... could be wrong. Never mind. I don't even want to say that. It doesn't even matter. Pretty much in that fight, he was taking some hard shots coming in, slowly walking towards down.
That was a
slowly
nice
walking
one,
him down towards the fence.
That was a nice one.
He almost dropped him and stuns him with a couple of overhand, but landing some kicks on him to the body as well. Stumbled him against the fence. Good body lock takedown, and then a wobbling shot from Marquez right before the round ended. Chiricho pretty much won that fight because he ended up getting 3 to 4 takedowns in that fight. I mean, and Marquez isn't the worst guy on the ground. He's able to kind of reverse a couple of those positions, but even still, he was taken down by Chiricho, and that's pretty much what won him the fight. The striking numbers at the end of that were pretty similar, but Chiricho, like I said, scored with the takedowns and won. As far as the Darren Stewart fight, we kind of saw Julian Marquez not come out as hot, and then kind of turned it on around 2, kind of woke up, and then he was able to get that submission win. As far as Maki Pitolo, like I said, 1-3 in the UFC with a 13-7 MMA record, 7 knockouts, 3 subs. He's coming off a UD loss to Impa Katsagna, in which he ended up looking pretty good in the initial stages of that fight. I think this Impa was a little bit too much for him as far as variability on the hands and feet in that fight. Able to press him a little bit too much, and just kind of able to turn the tides in that fight. I mean, as far as then we can start getting into, MMA math, right? And he's lost a submission loss to Darren Stewart. I believe that fight was on short notice. If anyone can correct me, that Maki Pitolo fight for Darren Stewart was on short notice, but it doesn't even matter. This is kind of one of those fights that's really hard for me to call, and I haven't actually picked anybody yet. And it's because of the fact that, we've got a knockout guy like Maki Pitolo. Maki Pitolo, in pretty much in his fight, he's trying to go in there and he's trying to put strikes on you and trying to get you out of there, or at least get you to the ground where he can finish you there. He's a finisher, and he's kind of, like I said, 1-3 in the UFC. He's kind of like he's going to go out on his shield type of guy. He's either going to knock you out or he's going to get finished. Then you don't see Julian Marquez. We haven't seen him in a long time, so it's a hard fight to call. At this point in time, I think I'd probably have to go with I'd have to see the lines and then take a bet. But I mean, I don't know, man. Something makes me want to go with Julian Marquez. I got to see this motherfucker on the scale. I'm picking all these guys though that haven't been in the UFC for like fucking 2 years, but I'm going to go with Julian Marquez. So that's my pick. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, that's a crazy one. Like pretty much like well over 2 years. It's pretty nuts. Almost 2.5 years. Oh yeah. It's a long ass fucking time.
Oh yeah.
Like on paper, I don't see how Pitolo wins this fight. He's probably gonna get finished, like you said. Probably gonna go down on his shield. But like, we'll have to see how he looks. Such a long time, 2.5 years, like complete, like crazy. But like, he's still only 30, so like, that could be 2.5 years where he's becoming even more of a killer. Like he could go out there and absolutely run through Pitolo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really see myself betting on Pitolo. Guy's a bit too reckless.
Yeah.
Even on his best.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to touch this fight. But I'd probably go with Marquez by KO. I think with the layoff, he's probably going to have the durability edge. And then I'll just give it to him because of that. I think someone's going to get knocked out, and it's probably going to be Pitolo.
Or subbed.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just pulling this fight up.
LJ, you got anything to add before we head to the lines?
Yeah, I'm not going to bet this one at all. I mean, Maki Pitolo, for me, he's not UFC level. I mean, he's losing to Callum Potter. Callum Potter, notorious, just not UFC level. That was at welterweight. Then he comes back and beats Charles Bird. Charles Bird retired soon after that fight, 1 foot out the door. Darren Stewart, he looks good on the feet initially against Darren Stewart. Then as soon as he shoots him for a takedown, I mean, Darren Stewart going for the submission. I mean, could you believe it? No. It's crazy. This guy's just really inconsistent. I just don't think he's a UFC caliber at all. I mean, Impa Kasanganay, 7-0 at the time. Impa Kasanganay's beat no one. Yeah. I mean, he beat one guy who's on a regional level to get to the UFC. Then he took this fight on short notice. Impa Kasanganay put a beating on him in the later rounds. It was close first round. Impa Kasanganay, he's got no speed, he's got no pop, and he's beating Maki Pitolo from pillar to post in the second and third round. Mm-hmm. I've got to go with Julian Marquez, but Julian Marquez again. I mean, split decision loss to Chirico and choked out Darren Stewart, but that was a fight where they were just winging bombs at each other until someone went for a submission.
Yeah.
But Marquez, the layoff, just I can't bet this fight at all because of the layoff. I mean, it's not like he's out with injuries or anything. He's just like he's not the most dedicated guy, and he's doing a podcast with Kendra Lust. I mean, Kendra Lust is a porn star, and he's doing a podcast with her like twice a week. He's not really like he's not like I've hurt my knee, I can't fight. It's just like he's got one foot out the door almost.
But what if what if in my perspective, like he's only 30 years old, if he noticed a bunch of flaws in his game from that Dhiego fight, spending some time and like who knows what else is going on in his life, right? But like that's not always the worst then for somebody like that who has a lot of raw
would have took that long
power
off. I think it's going to be to his detriment. He's going to have some sort of ring rust. I mean, it would.
Definitely will have an impact.
He won't definitely see if he fought in like late 2019 or something like that. I'd be okay, yeah, I can consider it. But it's 2018. Like it's a split decision loss to Dhiego. I mean, it's not. I can't. I'm staying away from this fight.
Was that Ultimate Fighter finale? Was that fight Ultimate Fighter finale? No way. Was it?
Ultimate 27
Julian
finale.
Marquez
Oh, that was the finale
10 to
for
1.
yeah, that was the finale for
I like that.
what was it? Sorry.
I'll tell you now, Dan. Maki Pitolo, he's stupid enough to fall into a submission from Marquez. If I'm being honest, I mean he's just not UFC caliber.
100%. A 10 to 1. I'll take that shot.
Yeah, man. I think that's that for that fight. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm good on that one.
Flow over to the next
Marquez.
one. And that's now we got Bobby Green, no?
Yeah.
Okay. This is
Must be.
Bobby King.
I mean, this is going to be a pretty good fight in my opinion. I mean I'm a huge Bobby Green fan, and that's just kind of my opinion. But it's a lightweight bet at 155 pounds. We got Bobby Green 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Jim Miller 5'8" with a 78-inch reach. So there's definitely advantages right there. I mean, Bobby Green 8-6 in the UFC with a 27-11-1 MMA record, 8 knockouts, 9 subs. Jim Miller 21-14 in the UFC. 32-15 MMA record, 4 knockouts, 18 submissions for Jim Miller. Bobby Green, he's coming off of a UD loss to Dhiego Moses, in which he was pretty much picking his shots as normal. Hands down, slick head movement throughout the fight, defending good takedowns, reversing that position to be on top, trying to grab the guillotine, being smart on his exits. He was taken down with a leg lock attempt. He ended up escaping that. Ended up getting a couple short TD ground and pound, pulled for Kamaru, had his back taken at one point. I mean, throughout that fight, and what we see in a lot of Bobby Green's fight is good pressure, good kind of peppering from the outside. In that fight, like I said, that was a UD loss, and fuck, I don't know if you guys watched that fight, but someone can come back at me and tell me how that was a UD loss. I just don't see it as a UD loss.
Was that the Moises fight?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, bullshit fight.
Don't get me started with that.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, exactly. Yeah. Then there was the Alan Patrick fight, and that was a UD win for Bobby Green as well. Instantly defending the takedown, ended up on top, reversing and clinch a lot in that fight. Gets a lot of huge slams, ground and pound work, taking the back. As far as in that fight, he was kept reversing the whole time. Beautiful takedowns, step over, in and out of the subs, ground and pounding hard. Beautiful body lock. He was just showing off that whole wrestling repertoire in which he has, and which he kind of originally had as a mixed martial artist, came from being a wrestler. Just like I said on the hands and feet, when Bobby Green gets going, and if he's not making mental errors, he's just flowing. And when he flows, he's a dangerous guy to fight against. He was almost pretty much wobbling Patrick at that point in the fight, and then able to almost, finish him, but no. Ended up getting another beautiful slam, and then more ground and pound in that fight. And then as far as the Lando Venata fight, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watched that fight. That fight, beautiful performance as well from Bobby Green, kind of just a signature performance. I know it's Lando Venata on the way out as well, but I mean, even still, we saw Bobby Green just throwing shots perfectly, defending everything well, and just, just looking really well. And I mean, like I said, on the other hand here, Jim Miller, 4 knockouts, 18 submissions, 21-14 in the UFC. He just came off a UD loss to Vince Pichel. In that fight, he was pressing pretty hard in that fight, pressing pretty well in that fight. He was looking to trying to get some hard shots in and then land that clinch, look for a takedown. Wasn't able to get it the first time. Then he ended up timing another good takedown, hopping on the back and looking for the RNC pretty quickly. He was scrambling well on the ground, moving through a couple different subs. He pretty much ate a couple of kicks in that fight. Got a takedown while the guy was kicking. Went into full guard. Went in the full guard. Did some ground and pound. And then actually ended up getting taken out himself. He ended up actually on his back for most of the majority in that fight against Pichel after, having some success at the beginning of the fight in getting taken down and kind of, getting beat up on the ground. And that's kind of where Pichel had success throughout the rest of the fight. As far as the Roosevelt-Roberts fight, I mean, a lot of people remember that fight. That's a fight in which we thought, Roosevelt-Roberts might come out there and put something on him, but it was a pretty quick submission loss in which, Jim Miller was able to get that arm as Roberts exploded out to try and get out of being on the bottom and was able to catch him in that armbar and then submit him. This fight, a little bit harder, but I just think that, Bobby Green, too high of a takedown percentage, just too well-rounded. He actually looks like he's kind of coming on a little bit in the late stages of his career. He likes to try and remind people he's always been here. You know what I mean? If you don't count in the fact that he's lost to the bullshit Dhiego Moses loss, if you don't count that into it and you don't count that into effect, man, like he's had a pretty successful career as far as this point, and I think he's on something like a 4-fight win streak to this point. So I mean, it's even more credit to a guy like Bobby Green if you don't count in that. That bullshit kind of loss. I know you could say it's against guys that are, more like Lando Venata, Clay Guida, more at the end of their career, but you could make the argument that Jim Miller might be one of those same guys. I think Bobby Green's on the Reaper spree. So I'm taking Bobby Green in this fight. I'm taking Bobby Green.
Bobby Green ain't no spring chicken himself.
Yeah, I know, but still, he's the Reaper.
Reaping spree. I don't know about that when you're... yeah, obviously I think he won that fight, but it's not like he made it too easy on the judges. He gets into these close fights. It was what? He's not out there. He's getting 10-8s or anything, Patrick. You know what I mean? I didn't rewatch the fight. Bobby Green goes.
That's a lot to ask of him against a tough guy.
But I mean,
like
Bobby
Moses,
he goes out there and gets into scraps, and it was a closer. Yeah, it was a closer fight. But I agree, he won the fight. But I think it could go either way, if I'm being honest. It's kind of, I think it's like a crazy line. We'll get into that, but I'm a massive fucking Jim Miller fan. And Pat, I don't know if you remember why. Didn't bring it up. You gotta bring it up. The motherfucker has been fighting with the effects of Lyme disease since 2013.
That's something that hits home to you. Is he still in the process of doing that? Because that gets brought
up
pretty much. There's a lifetime thing.
Well, different for different people, but he had after that win against Roosevelt Roberts, he finally that's when he got super emotional about it, and he said how much it was affecting him. He was dealing with fatigue, dealing with brain fog, and that's since 2013. It wasn't just for that last loss before that, against Scott Holtzman. Obviously, yeah, I'd have to go back and rewatch the shelf fight, but Jim Miller, obviously, he's not he's won some, he's lost some. But man, he's still dangerous. He's a black belt. He can go in there and he can finish you. But Bobby Green's a tough guy to take to the ground. He's an even tougher guy to keep on the ground. So it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for Jim Miller. I think we see a close decision, depending what kind of pace we see from Jim Miller, because he has said he's especially after that Roosevelt Roberts fight, he has said he's feeling much better in those recent days. But it's tough. Neither of the guys spring chicken, but I think it's a crazy line. I'll let Dougie and LJ get their takes in though.
Yeah, I'd pick Bobby Green by decision, but just looking at the line here, I know you're about to get into that. I think Jim Miller by submission is definitely a possibility. I think Miller has a big advantage if it gets to the ground, if he can get him in that position. And he really only needs to get him there once. I have a hard time seeing Bobby Green finish this fight. So if Jim Miller could get it there and get a submission, I could see that as a very real possibility. And the way the odds are looking, I might put some money on that.
What are the odds of
I'm seeing Jim Miller at plus 230 right now.
what are they for submission?
Right
Dan, you want to pull them up real quick, and we'll let LJ take his point while we go through them too.
Yep. What's Jim Miller at? Is he a heavy underdog or something?
Yeah.
I haven't even seen them yet. I want to see these. Okay.
Ride with the dogs. How
I
do
think
you allow?
Bobby Green takes it by decision. I'm trying to find the stat. Since the Dustin Poirier fight in 2016, he's had 11 decisions. Or 12 decisions, I mean. Lost some, won some. Split decision draw to Lando Venata. But he's just, the Thiago Moises fight. I definitely think he won the Thiago Moises fight. But he didn't make it clear. Like, he wasn't like, oh, yeah, Bobby Green definitely won that fight.
Yeah.
Because he does this to himself every time. He puts himself in super close fights because of his fight style.
Yeah.
And he's got no finishing ability. So he's forced to just stand with these dudes and have, like, scrappy fights. So he sometimes doesn't get the nod.
I think it's his mental thing too. Like I said with Bobby Green, like in the Moses fight, in the closing minutes of that fight, Moses had him against the fence. Bobby Green kind of searches out for a Kimura, pulls the Kimura out, and jumps to full Kimura and lets fucking Moses end the fight with him on top. And I go, how fucking smart was that, man? I go, like, was it really that smart that you just went for that Kimura? Like, if you really felt like you had it, like
terrible fight IQ.
Yeah, he has lapses, right? He has lapses. I think
it's not like Michael Johnson lapses.
No,
not like where he just shits the bed and then he's losing the fight. It's like he's winning the fight, but then he puts himself in stupid positions.
Yeah.
But then he don't go out there and get finished like Michael Johnson. Now, Jim Miller's a round one fighter, and he's round one sub a bust for me. I mean, this last win. Roosevelt Roberts. That's the I bet Jim Miller in that fight because that's a perfect level of opponent that's not been tested, and it's on the level where Jim Miller can get the submission quickly. Now he's not going to win a 3-round decision like the Roosevelt Roberts fight. Roberts sort of fell into that position, fell into the armbar, and Miller got it quickly. But yeah, it's if you're gonna bet Jim Miller, I'll probably bet him by stoppage, or I bet Jim Miller round one if you are gonna bet Jim Miller. But I think Bobby Green takes it all day, and I think it's probably of that level where Jim Miller's not the same fighter. He doesn't have the same cardio that he had, say, 5 or 6 years ago. So he's not gonna make it competitive enough to be close in a 3-round decision, unlike Thiago Moises or Jakar Close or something like that. So I'm gonna pick a Bobby Green decision.
Yeah, that's probably how I'll go. Let's throw some money on the draw. Fuck it.
Yeah, after looking at those odds, I'm gonna scrap the Jim Miller sub pick. I think Bobby Green to win on points is the way to go. It's
just throw
I like that number.
No, let Dan still keep riding on his dog though. Let him pick a dog.
Well, I just think it's a straight.
Come on. No,
yeah, if you aren't going to bet a dog, Dan, I'd bet in round one. I'd go for it. I know I don't like round bet, especially early.
I've got to throw a little cash on the guy, 100%.
I'm sure.
But no, I agree with you. I agree with you. Those first 2 rounds, I'll probably do a little split 1-2. I think there's a chance you can catch him in the second too. I wouldn't say.
I mean, even in the Vince Pichel fight, he wins that first round. He takes him down. He looks good. second round comes, he just gets melted. I mean, he's just not the same fighter in the second and third round.
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying he's round one sub a bust. Like, just look at it. Jason Gonzalez, Alex White, round one. Jason Gonzalez, rear naked choke, round one. Clay Guida, 58 seconds into the third round. Roosevelt Roberts, 2 minutes into the third round. I mean, he's round one sub a bust.
You're making good points.
He's that strong, and like he's
well,
got
I
that,
think it's
got
part
that
of the
black belt
mentality
where he
too.
can just pull guard and get the submission quickly.
As I was saying, LJ, the guy had fucking Lyme disease.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah,
he can't
he's
he probably has to go that route. Like, of course, that Roosevelt Roberts fight, he's probably like, fuck, I'm feeling great after that. But like, yeah, it's probably his lungs have never been the same. He was never really fully be able to be the same athlete after that stint of his life. He probably has to go out there with that kind of mindset. And he probably ends up, probably overgas himself in that first round, getting a bit too desperate for the sub because he probably has that in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm going to get gassed. He probably knows that there's nothing he can really do about it. It's super unfortunate, but
I think it's
guy's
more,
still game.
Yeah. I think it's even more so. Not only does Bobby Green make the mistakes that put him in that position and that kind of, leave him looking like he didn't win the fight, substantially. I think it's more so like, we're going to watch it. I hope we see it. I hope we get a chance to see it. The shoulder roll from Bobby Green is beautiful. You know what I mean? It is beautiful. It's one of those things that we can all take a look at and admire at some point in time. And he does a little bit too much of the whole, because he'll tap at it, right? He'll roll a punch, and then he'll go, you didn't catch me. As the guy walks him down, and he'll tap at the shoulder, right? I rolled the punch right off my shoulder. You didn't even see it. And he does a great job at it.
He's gonna shoulder rolls way right into a single leg takedown from Jim Miller.
I mean, I almost think that's
like a terrible
listen,
shoulder roll.
listen, listen.
Bitch.
Well, but listen, the way that he fights, and I've been thinking about this since I've been watching him, and it just in general to all fighters. If you keep your hands down right at your waist, I know there's super disadvantages for it, but let's just say that Jim Miller, and I could eat my words, right? Jim Miller's not going to be the guy to push him, range in on him, and I know Jim Miller's got the reach too, and knock him out, right? So, is it more of an advantage? Is it more of an advantage for a guy like Bobby Green? And let's not fucking bullshit this, man. If you watch Bobby Green's shit, like I said, came from being like an all-state wrestler. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what he got his spark into MMA. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying. You can't. It's hard to keep that guy on the ground. Super hard, and he'll dump you too himself. Like if he gives a fuck about Jim
it,
Miller doesn't need a lot of
takedown
time.
too.
He's going for your ass quick. He's a fucking
no, for sure, right? Like for sure,
killer
right?
of a black belt.
Oh, we've seen Bobby Green in there with black belts, and I mean it's black belts are different levels of black belts, and it applies to the person and stuff. And I know Jim Miller, like isn't he not got a submission record in the UFC going, or like second or first for all time in submissions or something? He's close to it.
There.
Yeah, so I mean, hard to pick. I'm picking Bobby Green. I think we'll move on from this fight now.
Definitely not touching Bobby Green at those straight up odds though. Terrible value.
No,
No.
Bobby Green is a favorite. I mean, the Thiago Moises fight, I thought he won that fight, and that just killed like two of my parlays. And Thiago Moises is a guy
Same for me.
I'm not high on Thiago Moises. I mean,
Killed
he's
my
fighting
parlays.
he's fighting Alexander Hernandez at the end of the month, and we're gonna fade him hard in that one.
I like the sound of that.
So
I like the sound of that. See, look at LJ. He's already ahead of the game. Here he goes. He's fighting at the end of the month. Getting ready to fade these motherfuckers. I love that. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, here let's roll through these because we're almost through these, and then we got another kind of.
I thought this was your co-main event.
This is my fucking co-main event, people. If you
here,
you know what?
This is the co-main event
Trailer
for me.
right now. Trailer right here, right now, people. Just because I'll replay it real quick. It's only a minute. I know Dougie's probably hooting a big old bowl to his face.
Dougie's like fucking 12 bowl straight.
Ping, ping, ping. You just hear. We'll have a counter on screen soon. People, if you're not watching every Tuesday, Combat Cannon. If you're Eastern Time Zone, it's normally about 10 o'clock at night. We're only going for about an hour and a half. Even if you're on the Playback Gang and you're watching it, we appreciate it. But keep into it. I mean, we're always going over some of this stuff. I always give my main and co-main predictions for the upcoming week. I mean, I'm obviously going to go back over them this time, but I'm going to go back over them a little bit more, little bit shortened, a little bit more redacted, let these guys kind of get into it, and then we'll kind of, once we end off with the co-main and main anyways, we kind of get into the whole, look at them holding the ball. We kind of get into the whole thing of, talking about these fights and going back over. And like I said, I always open the panel up at the end of these. But here we go as far as the...
Depot on the beat.
It's the wrong one, people. So fuck it. We're not even gonna play it. I didn't upload the right one yet. I'm gonna upload it now while we're talking, and then I'll play it later. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm not playing the one I didn't just put all the work into this week. Are you fucked in the head, man? Like, what are you crazy?
You need the production. What do you appreciate it?
No, you know what I mean. Like, we'll just we'll wait. We'll get into it, and then I'll play it towards the end. But I mean,
are we doing the women's fight first or what?
Yeah. When that knee hits, though, yeah, I know. I mean, the other one's better because I think I timed the Stamen one almost better. But I mean, I just got to upload it. You got to give me a minute here to find it and get it uploaded and shit. Because it's actually, wait, I could just swap it over and put it on the other one real quick. Couldn't I? Isn't that just how this shit works?
Okay, let's just throw up the shit. Throw up the shit for the fucking women's fight.
Wait a second here. Aha! Watch this. No. Why don't you relax for 5 seconds here? Why don't you relax here, people? Combat Cannon every Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Time.
Depot on the beat.
Metaphorically, I'm taking the gloves off. I know we don't wear them anymore, but it's over.
I think here. Let me swap it back over real quick here. I forgot you can just do that. I think my mic was cracking because I'm swapping between brands or whatever StreamYard likes to fucking label this shit as. Give me 1 second. Let me swap it back here.
That find is so fucking brutal,
this is the right one.
I don't know if you guys have heard, but like it didn't really show us on the stream. Apparently, it was pretty brutal. Like Frankie was down for a couple minutes there, like out.
Right, he was out cold.
2 minutes. Yeah, they said 2 minutes.
Down for about 5 minutes. That's
I don't know about five. I don't know about five. You fucking.
I think they said 2.
I think you guys
but I mean,
dead.
even
That's
still, man, like.
But yeah, for a guy like Frank, it's fucking
do you remember
bad.
Chaos Williams' last fight when he knocked out Al Hassan?
Yep.
They did the entire ring announcement. They did the post-fight interview, and then if you watch the post-fight interview, you can see Michael Bisping's next to the cage, and all you can see is Al Hassan's toes are just still curled after 10 minutes of. Yeah, so they're out for longer than you think. If you might think, oh, they're only down for 2 minutes, but they're down for a long time when they get.
Yeah, I only think it was 2 minutes just because I did the due diligence of listening to the Hawani interview, and he had Sandhagen on, and Sandhagen started talking about it, and maybe he was down for longer than 2 minutes. Maybe it took him 2 minutes for it to hit him. You know what I mean?
You like to think they're down for less time though, don't you? Like it wasn't as bad, you know.
Yeah, right. And of course, the UFC portraying it that way makes it seem a lot better, right? We don't have guys laying on the canvas, especially legends, right? So we'll do the women's fight first, and then we'll leave it with my matchmaker style. We'll leave it where it is as far as having that fight where it is.
So this fight this is a good fight.
No, it's a great fight. I think it actually is. Flyweight fight, 125 pounds between Maycee Barber, 5'5" with a 65-inch reach, taking on Alexa Grasso, 5'5" with a 68-inch reach. Maycee Barber, 3-1 in the UFC with an 8-1 MMA record. Grasso, 4-3 in the UFC with a 12-3 MMA record. Maycee Barber, 5 knockouts, 2 subs. Alexa Grasso, 4 knockouts, 0 subs. Maycee Barber's coming off a UD loss to Roxanne Modafferi. Good shots, lots of pressure opening up in the fight, getting landed on and then taken down. Pretty much first time she was ever taken down and then held in the half guard, looking for a choke from the bottom, spending the entire time there. Reversed it in the last couple. In the sort of the second round, she ended up getting dropped for a jab from Modafferi, which is not good. And second round, pretty much Roxanne jumped onto full mount, cuts her. She reversed positions, reversed it again, has a bunch of submissions thrown at her. I mean, at one point you can see Maycee Barber cannot stand very well. Her left leg is hurt. And in one of the grappling exchanges, she has definitely torn something in her knee. Roxanne basically jumps on top of her. Maycee goes for the Americana, reverses position. Now she was on top. I mean, in that fight, we ended up seeing, Roxanne Modafferi pretty much out grappling Maycee Barber. And, like I said, knee was probably hurt in that fight. As far as the Gillian Robertson fight, that was a TKO win. We kind of already mentioned that tonight. Went in, initially touched Robertson with a couple good shots, made Robertson start pretty much shooting for reckless TDs like she likes to do. Ended up pulling guard with Maycee into her, and then pretty much the fight hit the floor. The two quickly returned to the feet, and Maycee pretty much unloaded 10 straight shots, making the refs stop it against the fence. Like I said, she didn't even go down. Alexa Grasso, on the other hand, 4-3 in the UFC, 12-3 MMA record, 4 knockouts, no subs, versus Jin Kim. She's coming off a UD decision in which I believe that was her flyweight debut from strawweight for Alexa Grasso, and now she's fighting at this flyweight weight now, and I think she likes this weight on a little bit. She's talked about how much nicer it feels to not have to cut as much weight, but she's not a very big woman to begin with, so we will see how she does look against a little bit more of a stronger woman as Maycee Barber. As far as the Julian King fight with Alexa Grasso, a lot of strikes in that fight, good boxing. Grasso looked pretty good, trying to close with combos, landed well, ended with a lot of leg kicks on her combos, moved well, got in and out well. Good defense too. She held her hands up a lot against a lot longer fighter in Ji King. I know Ji King's not anyone we want to go rive into the fences about, but I mean at the same time she still looked good against the larger opponent. Showed the speed advantage she had on that fight, landing up a good jab, pretty much taking that nose as a target piece and busting that up. She just stays moving well throughout that entire fight. Reverse clinch a couple of times, showing her strength even for being the smaller woman. I mean, even getting the good trip and then getting some ground and pound in that fight, like I said, UD win for her. I see this fight being pretty much an interesting one, which, honestly, it's crazy to say. It's crazy to say, and I have it written down, and it's like I've almost written it down subconsciously and said, what the fuck? But I have this written down as possibly being some crazy fight of the night. I have both of these women as future contenders, 2 women that preferably doing most of their work on the hands and feet, trading with their opponents. Like I said, it's in the co-main slot, so it's already going to get more viewage, right? You're more likely in a higher slot to, I think, especially in a women's fight, no offense to the women. But if you put on one of those striking performances and both of these women are strikers, I think you could really see that. I think it's interesting in the fact that we've only seen one fight from Alexa Grasso at flyweight now. She looked impressive, like I said, having to kind of close distance, dictate the fight against the bigger fighter, using the smart combos. And, I think that the strength and size advantage will probably go to Barber. I think the crisp shots and output and movement will probably go to Grasso. I might even expect a takedown attempt early by her just to make Barber, think that she's going to, maybe even pursue a couple takedowns throughout the fight. I see something being different about this fight for Barber. I'm not sure if she is going to just be able to deal with that pressure, movement, and output late in that fight from Grasso.
Takedown? Is that what you said?
At some point, yeah.
I don't know about that.
I think Barber is going to have the wrestling advantage in this one.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know why Alexa Grasso would be shooting takedown. Like, she's going to be the smaller girl going into this fight.
It could be the wrong. It could be the. It could have it. I could have mixed it up and put the wrong name in there, but I'm reading it as I have it written.
Like, I think Grasso is going to find, like, she's going to be obviously going to maybe be the quicker girl. If anything, I don't even know. Like, man, Maycee Barber's kind of got some hands. Like, okay, obviously, last fight, Roxanne Modafferi. I think it's pretty plain and simple what happened there.
What?
She fucking slapped on Roxanne and she got fucking exposed.
Great, then you're gonna get exposed by every other girl in the UFC. You're gonna get exposed by a 4-3 girl that can strike. It's gonna happen if you're getting exposed by
You
Roxanne
can fucking
Modafferi.
hang somebody on a fucking cross for fucking whatever you want. You can fucking. I'm gonna let the 22-year-old off on that one. I'm gonna say, hey, fucking, it happens. People make mistakes. You have bad losses like that. Somebody like that, you're obviously super high on yourself. You're not going out there fucking going to these majority decisions like some of the other girls. She goes out there and she stops chicks. And I don't know if she's going to necessarily run through. She's not going to be able to run through Alexa Grasso. She's probably her toughest test today, especially off the loss. But I think the combination of the fact that she's going to be a bigger girl in there, the stronger girl, the ability to be able to hurt her with her strikes if she does connect, which I don't think she'll do less. But I think her game plan's pretty simple. Control her in the clinch. Try and land some heavy shots. Maybe try and take it to the ground. Like we've seen, like, sometimes, like when against people who tend to employ more of a wrestling-based game plan, those tend to be the fights that Grasso loses, like a Carla Esparza, Tatiana Suarez, Felice Herrig. There you go. Those are 3 losses, and those are all grappling-based kind of women's fighters. So
Yeah.
I think that
I'll be honest, didn't watch any of those fights. Gotta watch them for sure.
Fucking not with your. No, I don't fucking think you should waste your fucking.
Well, I
time
mean, to
doing
start
that.
labeling fights as, being heavy grappling exchanges,
Well,
we see fights.
what do you mean?
that-
Those are those fucking 3 girls' specialties. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I know,
You don't need to
it's-
watch the fight.
You
boring
gotta
15
watch
minutes.
these things. You can't just blatantly start chiming stuff in. Like, if LJ's watched these fights, if someone's watched these fights and can say they were all grappling exchanges, I totally believe you.
That's not what I fucking said, is it? I said these are all fucking 3 people who employ a wrestling-based game plan.
Yeah.
It's a fact. What do you mean? Those Tatiana Suarez, Carla Esparza, and Felice Herrig. What do you mean? They're not going out there and not standing there banging with people. Like, I don't know. Like, whatever. But all I'm saying is, I think that's how Barber wins this fight. She could even potentially finish her, and anything could happen. I think she's got a lot to prove after that last win. And I think she's got the platform to do it, even though I think it's kind of high expectations given a fight like this. Co-main, obviously, it wasn't intended to be. What was it we got deprived of? Wasn't it Uriah Weidman? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Fuck. Would have loved to get this fucking Uriah sleep Chris Weidman co-main over doubt. Oh well. I don't know.
Like
should
we
be a
all
go
thought-
fight.
like
I don't
we
know
all
about.
thought
I don't know
I'd bet
about fight of the
on it,
night. I don't know about fight of the night, but should be all right. Could be a boring ass.
I don't even know why I have it labeled as fight of the night. It's probably
could be a
it's
clinch
probably
fest.
all a miss. It's probably all a miss. Right. It's probably all for some other fight.
You probably had about fucking 5 dabs before you did that break.
Probably. I mean, I'm fucking. My
LJ, you got
my
anything
new
to add on
strategy
this
for
one?
watching a lot of the women's fights is in double speed. Actually.
What else is it?
Not
coming
much
up
for
here?
this fight, but I mean,
Like, I'm not touching it, people. We're not touching women's fights.
yeah,
here. We're not coming here
I'm not betting this fight.
to sit
I've
here
got
and say we're gonna
Alexa
hit
Grasso
on
on,
women's fights and.
I've got a big highlighter right through it, and it says "open to left hook." That's all. That's the biggest flaw. She's open to the left hook. She's a good boxer, but she's got flaws, and she's had 1 fight at the weight, from what I can see. Maycee Barber, she comes forward and she's got good pressure. She's got heavy hands. She's got strength like a bantamweight, so she's like deceivingly strong. But in my opinion, Grasso always fought the better competition by a landslide. I mean, we all know 115 UFC is the best female division, especially compared to 125. I mean, she beat.
Incorrect. 135. Fuck, obviously.
Okay.
No laughs from the crowd. That's fine.
Yeah.
Fucking top crowd.
You're funny, man.
I mean, majority decision lost to Carla Esparza. She just lost the wrestling exchanges in that fight. I mean, she busted up Esparza on the feet in the 3rd round, and she could have got a 10-8 in that last round. She beat Kovacevic. I mean, she gets out wrestled and stopped by Suarez, and then she loses to a decision to Herrick. But that's better competition compared to. I mean, let's bring
Way
it
better.
up.
Way better.
Way better. I mean,
Miles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing to jump up and down about. I know, but Like
Thanks, Abby.
Esparza, former champion, but compared to JJ Aldrich, who knocked her down, Hannah Cyphers, who landed huge shots to the chin, Gillian Robertson. Gillian Robertson's a 500 fighter at this point.
Yeah.
And then you lose a 30-27
Whoa,
decision
whoa,
to Roxanne
whoa.
Modafferi.
Drag through the mud.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Okay. Yeah, bear
Hey,
in mind,
man,
bear in
hey,
mind
this
she
is
busted a
fucking
knee in that
Canadian
fight.
over
Okay?
here. Fucking-
Okay, she wrecked her knee in that fight. But I'm just
Man.
gonna say that was a bad day at the office and say the injury played a big part in it. But you know, she's still got outskilled on the ground. I mean, I know her leg was compromised, but she's still getting outskilled. And then she comes back an entire year later against Alexa Grasso. I mean, Alexa Grasso versus Roxanne Modafferi. Who's the favourite in that fight? Probably Alexa Grasso.
Oh,
You know.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
She's fought. Like, she's not because 125 is just nothing to go off in the UFC. It's 135 rejects essentially. You know, so. I mean, I can't really come
Stay
up
away
with.
from this one, folks.
I'll go with Barber, but it's the hardest fight she's had in her career. I don't think she would be ready for it. So
I think the UFC
I can't
wants.
bet this fight at all.
I think the UFC wants Barber to win this one, but they're
100%.
also okay if Grasso wins it too. They're like,
Yeah, because they know
okay,
if
well, like-
whoever wins, they're just going to push them hard as the next
yeah, big time.
star or whatever.
I'm glad that Dan told me to watch the Nate Diaz interview because it was very good. I mean, Nate's one of those guys that you could almost say is not only the whole, a grandfather guy and him and his brother at the whole weed thing, but more so the whole calling the UFC for the way it is. You know what I mean? And going, even just when he went all the way back to saying, oh, they're selling you wolf tickets, people. You know what I mean? Like, you look back at those two guys and they've always called the UFC for what it is. He kind of called in on it during the Helwani thing. He goes, they wanted Conor to win the Poirier fight, obviously, and then he fucking shit the bed. And I enjoyed it. So if anyone hasn't gone to see it yet, go listen to Nate Diaz talk for about 40 minutes on the Ariel Helwani show. I believe you put that on podcast today too. So it was pretty good. As far as let's answer this question because
it's got subtitles. I'll watch it.
I mean, man, honestly, like, so me and Boone were talking about this for a minute. We'll spend a minute on it. We'll actually save it for the end. Fuck it, it'll go in the end. We're lulling off here, but here, Willie, can you save that for 20 minutes while we go through these last two fights, and then we'll.
I don't think we need to. I'm sorry. No.
No, wait, and then we'll go into it because he's asked the question before. He's asked the question before.
Yeah, but I'm sorry.
Thanks, man. Relax. We're gonna leave it. We're going to leave it for a minute. We'll let it marinate for a second, Willie.
I just don't want to give his hopes up to be like, oh, this will be one that really draw this one.
Dougie, camera off, bowl, mouth, done.
We need a tally.
Yes,
we need a tally. We need some sort of, shit. He's making me want to rip a bowl. I'm just over here having dabs.
How about it? I'm having a great night.
It sounds like it, man.
Here's my co-main event of the evening.
Yeah.
Middleweight bout at 185 pounds between Kelvin Gastelum, 5'9", with a 71.5-inch reach, and Ian Heinisch, 5'11", with a 72-inch reach. I mean, I would say that this is probably going to be the co-main just because of the fact that, these guys are both high-level guys. We've seen Kelvin Gastelum rise and fall through the ranks throughout his entire career. Kelvin Gastelum, 10-6 in the UFC with a 15-6 record. Ian Heinisch, 3-2 in the UFC with a 14-3 record. Kelvin Gastelum, 6 knockouts, 4 subs. Ian Heinisch, 5 knockouts, 2 subs. Kelvin Gastelum's coming off a submission loss to Jack Hermanson. That was pretty quick in the end of the fight. Ended up pressing him, pretty much taken down. Hermanson went for the leg, went for the ankle. Kelvin tried to escape. He went back into his guard and then tried to escape and again and ended up getting caught in that ankle lock about a minute 20 into the fight. As far as the Darren Till fight, like I said, I'm going to try and go through these ones a little bit quicker because I already did do this yesterday, people, on the Combat Cannon. Like I said, every Tuesday, come check us out. The Darren Till fight, that was a split decision loss for Kelvin Gastelum as well. Pretty much pressing Till from the beginning, forcing him to fight from the outside. I mean, that's kind of where Darren Till kind of had the strategy for this fight. Like I said, he gained a lot of that off the Israel Adesanya fight with Kelvin Gastelum, able to pretty much clinch whenever he was in too tight against Kelvin Gastelum in Kelvin's range. And then when he wasn't, he would just either look to land strikes from the end, using his little bit of reach, or using just the kicks to pretty much eat that lead leg up of Kelvin Gastelum. He's pretty much had a hard time pinning him down throughout the entire fight, Kelvin Gastelum did, and And then any time that Kelvin Gastelum would sit, he would get fired on. I mean, it was just a fight in which like the game plan had been set there from the Israel Adesanya fight in a certain sense, and I think that Darren Till just executed it perfectly. Like I said, split decision loss because, you know, it was definitely a close fight. Like I said, but that lead leg of Kelvin Gastelum's did look somewhat compromised. I mean, wasn't able to land much, only able to get single shots going, and pretty much just got reversed a lot in that fight. As far as the Israel Adesanya fight, that was a fight in which Israel Adesanya and Kelvin Gastelum pretty much matched at it, and, you know, could some say the best test for Israel Adesanya in the UFC to this point, to this date. I mean, pretty much rocked Israel Adesanya off the opening bell, almost dropped him with the left hook, then ended up walking him down, missing with a bunch of those power shots. He was landing some pretty good counters, partially when Adesanya sits and didn't move as much. He had a lot of pressure in this fight, landing his power shots, countering, dropping with the right hand. He got dropped, moved back a little bit in this fight.
For you, Dougie.
I mean, he was rocked with a spinning elbow, partially dropped as he shot him for the TD. He was unsuccessful. I mean, lots of feints trying to pick the opening, getting that leg hit a good amount, getting countered when landing from close. Like I said, this lead leg is a definite key for people to land on against the shorter guy in Kelvin Gastelum. He was showing some slowness in shots and punches, looking slower in round 4. Lots of forward pressure and looking to land some punches, and then he was taking some shots. He ended up coming on strong in that 5th round, rocking Adesanya with a huge head kick, punching, advancing, and landing, but I mean, was not enough to pull that fight off for him. As far as Ian Heinisch goes, he's coming off a KO win against Gerald Meerschaert, in which hard leg kick to land it, doubling it up to start off the fight, then landing some strikes from range, stepping in and landing the single right hand, change level wrestling style, you know, kind of just feinting the TD, throwing the right hand over the top, and catching Meerschaert perfectly, drilling, knocking him out. As far as the Omar Akhmedov loss, that was a UD loss for Ian Heinisch. He started with the low leg kick and was trading from range, trying to get that TD, but unable to as he got some shots going. Good exchanges in the kicks, may have hurt Ian's leg early in that fight. A good couple flurry of punches from Ian Heinisch as he came in. Good counters from Akhmedov the entire fight. Heinisch wasn't able to find a rhythm. Mixing up shots with a double leg slam for Akhmedov. Akhmedov kind of like dictating his game plan. Akhmedov, like he normally does, kind of showed a lack of energy midway through round 3. Taken down twice in that 3rd round, but some good shots were even able to be landed, and his back was given up, but he was able to get up to his feet. Akhmedov being like one of those tough guys. The success was kind of coming on late for a guy like Ian Heinisch in that fight, and I mean, like he was starting to kind of look a little bit better, but then he got rocked and he ended up looking for like a desperation takedown towards the end of that fight. As far as the Derek Brunson fight, that was a UD loss as well. Hard leg kick, crazy head kick that partially dropped Brunson right off the opening 10 seconds of that fight. But Brunson was able to defend the takedown and able to defend, you know, getting dropped fully in that opening. He was landing some shots, but taking some shots to land. Brunson was being very, very particular about what shots he wanted to throw in that fight, picking them very well. He was getting overextended a little bit in that fight, shooting for desperation takedown shots to avoid danger, swinging wildly and then shooting for these takedowns and getting reversed a lot. I mean, he was looking somewhat tired, and then I'd say unsure of what he wanted to throw. It's always a high output fight with Heinisch, but I mean, like he's got to know where he's got to throw these shots. And I mean, the Jared Meerschaert fight, he's been currently taking a lot of his training camps in Thailand, and I think that's definitely going to play a definite role into his striking. But I mean, as far as it all goes, I think it's a difficult fight to call, you know, regardless if it's co-main or main. I think we see a competitive drive from both men, and Kelvin Gastelum, you know, wanting to finally get back in the win column after 3 straight losses against, you know, top tier opponents. This fight's a lot less of a talent gap than, you know, what Kelvin Gastelum's been acquainted to in the past, especially even just throughout his career, you know what I mean, coming through the Ultimate Fighter as the last overall pick. I mean, Ian Heinisch, though, constantly a guy who's improving his game, becoming dangerous from a lot of different positions. His cardio being one of those things that makes it so dangerous because he's able to go for a lot of that time. And even if it's like wild shit shots, I mean, there's still shots that can definitely hurt you and put you out. The whole Thailand thing kind of gets me guessing. It's like, did he spend this whole time during COVID in Thailand at his same camp? I don't think so because of COVID. So, I mean, the fine-tuning of his shot selection is, I think, what's kind of holding a guy like Ian Heinisch back, and maybe a little bit of a couple other things. But, I mean, that shot selection, knowing what your bread and butter is as a fighter is something that's holding Ian Heinisch back. So I think that a lot of the things want me to pick Ian Heinisch, but I think that Gastelum's, he's going to just put on a stellar performance, remind us the fighter that he is. I just think that, even because of the reach too in some of the past fights, it's not as obnoxious as what Gastelum's been seeing. Like, these guys have similar reaches within a half an inch. So I mean, hard fight to call. I may even have to look at the scale to see this one, but I think I'm picking Kelvin Gastelum to win this fight.
I think Dan's ripping a bull.
No, sorry. I was just about to say we gotta address Willie Boy. He wants us to answer his question.
Well, okay, relax. Let me.
That's what he says. He said no, but we do address the chat. We should address his question.
Okay.
It's gonna take like 2 seconds. What do you think, Dougie? About JoJo? What happened in that fight again? I don't even remember that terrible Jessica. Or what happened in the Jessica fight?
If you don't remember it, then you're a casual.
Into another dimension.
No.
You're literally interrupting the midway breakdown of a fight for a comment
He wants
that
us
you
to answer.
said
He wants us to. But I'm saying he wants us to answer the question.
Where does it even see that?
The last comment.
Where it's not open questions from the chat. It is open questions. I appreciate you, Willie. It is open. Like I said, this thing is open. I'm just like, we're 2.5 hours into this motherfucker. We're just trying and get all these opinions through, and we're still fucking we're still got the main event to go. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to cycle through it so we can cut it up and get this cooked out. So
I don't know. I just don't want the guy to feel.
No, we're not. It's not a closed
ignored.
panel. Like I said, it always gets open at the end. Thanks, Dan, for acknowledging it. Like I said, I appreciate you. But at the same time, we're going to get to it. Just we got this fight to go over. We got the bets to go over. We got the main event. And then we're automatically into open panel. So just don't worry about it, people. Open panel's coming soon. Like I said, the link will be posted if you want to fucking come in and join and talk out with us for a couple seconds, couple minutes. Rock out, talk about whatever the fuck, whatever UFC, whatever's going on. We're going to probably gauge some shit, talk about some news, just talk about what we feel on a bunch of shit. But like, we're going to address that. The Boone thing that I do with Boone, people, that's the podcast every Tuesday. We're just trying to make it a little bit more professional. Keep it a little bit more no comments, because then it kind of gets a little bit, no, you're not a pest, bro. You're not a pest, man. I appreciate you actually staying in here and appreciate the love from you, man. We're going to get to it in a second. We will we'll actually talk about it. I mean, as far as not only answering it in 5 seconds, because I don't think that's a real respect to the women's division. But I mean, of course, that's coming from the resident sexist here in the MMA Bet Surgeon channel.
You're the one ignoring the question, but okay.
You're the resident sexist. That's what they call you.
Based on what? You're the one that has been on
earlier tonight.
Okay,
you're the one that's been on some questionable cameos on some interesting podcasts. Some say you were part of some sort of
there. I'm gonna go with Heinisch in this one. I think any fight that Kelvin Gastelum is in, the way he fights, it's gonna be a close fight, a close back and forth fight. And in this one, Heinisch is definitely the underdog. He should be, but I think it's probably going to be inflated because Kelvin Gastelum has a more notable name for sure. So I'm probably going to go with Ian Heinisch in a back and forth one. It's going to be a close decision one way or the other.
I don't mind it. I'll be honest, LJ, you can chime in a second, but I was already hearing from Heinisch that he's saying he's going to expose Gastelum and show him levels and shit. Like, that worries me. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, because like I was saying in my breakdown, though, it's like, I'm a guy that's like, I see Heinisch as being like a guy that could definitely threaten Gastelum. But it's like, I haven't seen Gastelum in a while. And it's like, Gastelum's one of these guys, you look at him and you go, well, what the fuck? You know, it's the same thing in The Ultimate Fighter. They looked at him and said, well, whatever, man. Like, you're like some pudgy little guy, man. Like, whatever, right? And then it's like, he comes out and he's just so good. And it's like, has the UFC and the skill level passed him on now? Good question, LJ. What are you thinking, man? Dan, you don't mind bringing up the bets real quick?
I like what you're saying about Ian Heinisch saying he's gonna expose Gastelum, but he said stuff like this before, like bear in mind he said he was going to run over Derek Brunson, and he lost to Derek Brunson. So
Okay.
But,
there you go,
I'm going to pick. It's close. I'm going to pick Kelvin Gastelum. I think he gets it done by decision. I like how Doug said it was going to be a competitive decision because I do. I think it's going to be back and forth. I don't think Heinisch is going to wilt.
No.
And get knocked out. But I will bring up this. Gastelum, he's not an elite 185er for me. He's better at 170, but he drains to get 170. So let's forget about him at welterweight.
Which is crazy.
Split decision win to Jacare. Back and forth fight. I think Gastelum won it, and then if you look at that win against Jacare, who else has he beat besides Michael Bisping? Okay. He came out against Adesanya. Looked good against Adesanya. Hurt him early. Landed great shots. The only fighter yet in the UFC to really test Adesanya. But then that fourth round even in the first round, he's getting dropped. He's getting popped by Adesanya. Adesanya's got legit pop. He's knocking him down. But then Gastelum's just his chin is just, and he's relentless. He's such a warrior. But then that fourth round comes around and he's taking even more damage. Then the fifth round comes along, and I don't know what Mark Goddard was doing, because looking back at it, he should have stopped the fight. 2 knockdowns in a row for Adesanya. Drops Kelvin Gastelum. Adesanya goes down for an elbow in mount, and it's basically like Kelvin Gastelum taking sustained damage until the final bell. Like he's basically out on his feet, taking an absolute savage beating.
Right.
Okay,
It's just such a
maybe not
fight, such a close fight up until that point.
It was close, but it was not. Trust me, watch that fight back. It was
No,
not.
I know. Yeah, that fifth round
It
was
should have
bad.
been
It's
stopped.
ugly for Gastelum.
It should have been stopped. It was
And I don't
ugly.
know-
It was all leaning towards Adesanya, and I think it would have been best for Gastelum's corner to throw in the towel in that fifth round.
Well,
now, looking back at it, Darren Till adopted the game plan of Adesanya to just stick and move, clinch when he's stationary, avoid the takedowns. Lackluster fight, but loses to Till.
Yeah.
Then the Jack Hermanson fight comes in, looks good on the feet, level changes to Hermanson. Hermanson goes straight for an ankle lock and gets him out of there quickly. So I'm looking back at it and I'm thinking, oh, maybe he did take some damage in that Israel Adesanya fight. Maybe his chin's not completely rinsed, like his chin's not gone, but he's not, like he may be a bit hair slower. He might not have the reflexes, and he just might not be on that level where he originally he wasn't really an elite 85-pounder to begin with. Like he wasn't elite of the elite. He didn't have all the huge wins like Adesanya and Whittaker have.
Yeah.
But Ian Heinisch, if you watch that fight with Ian Heinisch versus Amari Akhmadov, you see Akhmadov stinging him on the feet, taking him down. Yeah, he looked a bit lackluster in the third round, but you watch that fight back and tell me he doesn't. He beats Kelvin Gastelum. But now I'm saying Kelvin Gastelum, maybe if he took a bit too much damage in the Israel Adesanya fight, maybe if we see a Kelvin Gastelum that's at 70%, 75%, I think 100% Ian Heinisch, he's been training it in Thailand. He's been working on his footwork.
Yeah, is he still there though? That's the
that's the question. But
right?
It's like what he adopted in the previous camp as well. You got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, I know, but like that's
I
like
think,
then we look
I
at
think
Khalil
if we're looking back at it, and like I think he took sustained damage in the Adesanya fight.
Yeah,
he's not won a fight since, and now he's fighting Ian Heinisch. If he's at 70%, I think Ian Heinisch has a scrappy decision and he wins the decision. That's if Ian Heinisch is on and he's he sticks to the game plan. But I'm leaning towards Gastelum still having that edge. Still having that. I just think it's just the top level. I'll put it down to him fighting top 5 fighters and just having like a rough skid.
Agreed. Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it too. I think we're looking at it pretty similar.
If we see Ian Heinisch, Ian Heinisch beat him, and it's not really like, it's like, wow, Ian Heinisch beat him pretty convincingly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to fade Kelvin Gastelum from now on because
you're right.
He'll be in my category, and this is gonna sound ridiculous because he's 29, but he's gonna be in my category of shot fighters.
No, you're right. He'll be fighting for too long. Yep, fighting for too long with no outcome.
It's not even like he's not in just the Adesanya fight. I mean, he's taking big damage in other fights. He's always banks on his chin.
I think LJ's absolutely pretty much nailed it. He covered a lot of points I was pretty much going to go over, so I won't really reiterate. But yeah, that damage from that 5th round.
I don't think the takedowns are going to be there for Gastelum either. I think, from what I can see, Amari Ahmadov way stronger of a grappler than Kelvin Gastelum. I think Gastelum's offensive grappling is pretty overrated. When he gets people down, he doesn't hold them down.
I do think Gastelum's going to touch him up, though. I think Gastelum...
Yeah.
We could see Gastelum finish him.
But I'm saying if Gastelum's a little bit off and he's gun shy, I can definitely see Ian Heinisch.
That's the thing. That's exactly the thing. There's so many question marks.
I don't see him finishing Gastelum, obviously, but because I don't necessarily think Gastelum's chin's gone at all. He's got an iron chin. He's just slowed down a hair, and it's enough to where I can think, he's lost to Till, he's lost to Hermanson. Will he lose to Heinisch, who sits around the top 15 level, perhaps?
Yep. No, you're right.
I think the Mexican chin is unbreakable, but I can definitely see Heinisch winning the back and forth decision, and Gastelum, even if he's more talented, fighting down to Heinisch's level.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would see.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, they have pretty similar reaches, right, in this fight?
Yeah, half an inch.
Half an inch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might see fucking Gastelum.
And Heinisch's got a good chin on him as well. Heinisch isn't just going to get taken out. Like, he's not going to go down with one punch and just get melted. He's got a good chin.
It's like the caliber of fighters.
Yeah,
it's such a crazy drop down. When you're going from Adesanya, Darren Till, Jack Hermanson to Ian Heinisch, no disrespect to the guy, but it's a crazy drop. In level.
And Gastelum knows that, so that's why it's a good point that he might.
Like UFC's like, I think it's a fight coming from the UFC. Then they're like, okay, Kelvin, you had an awesome title fight. We understand those haven't been easy ones, but you should win this one.
I said it in my thing. Yeah, I said it's definitely a step down as far as the competition that's being thrown at Kelvin Gastelum. I highlighted that instantly during the breakdown. I mean, it's definitely miles. It's kind of the type of guy that we see on the night as far as Kelvin Gastelum goes. I mean, could see a million different things. Like I said, this is I'm sure the people's main, the co-main. That's what we'll call it, the people's co-main. We'll hop it. I mean, any bets here that we're looking at to get into that real quick.
I'm going Heinisch by decision.
It's not bad. 4.5.
That's definitely where value is at for sure.
I definitely think he's live for a decision. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
He's not going to jump on a submission. He's not going to knock Gastelum out. I mean, if scrappy back and forth. Maybe it's like a slow pace for the first round. Maybe they give it to first round to Ian, second round to Ian, and then maybe Gastelum gets a knockdown and gets the third round.
Dan, if you don't mind me asking, what is the parlay that's grossing you 116 times?
What is? I'm really tempted to know what it is. What have you been?
It's a mortal lock. That's what it is. Let me tell you what it is. I don't really know what it is.
It's probably Dhiego Lima by a knockout or something.
No, I would never take that bastard.
Just look at it. Look at it. Show it to me.
The biggest underdog on the card by with a prop bet as well.
Miranda Maverick, Phil Rowe, Kelleher stoppage, Gutierrez, and the under 2.5 in the Dhiego Lima, Belal Muhammad. Easy.
Oh no, it's not bad.
It's not even that crazy.
I play Kelleher.
Throw a half a unit on that.
I play Kelleher straight in your parlay just in case he doesn't get the stoppage. But
yeah, you're probably right. Probably not really worth it at this point. But
He could win a close decision. You never know.
no, I think let's. I think anybody else want to bring up anything else on this fight?
No.
I just pretty think that much at the end of this day. Like the line, yeah. Like I don't know. I want to know if even like taking Kelvin Gastelum straight up, they'll probably be in like the Betway boost, and I'll take it that way. That's probably gonna be the only way I'm gonna take Kelvin Gastelum straight
last
up
time he was
because
in the
like
boost was against Hermanson. So
yeah, I know, but it's fucking Hermanson. It's not fucking.
that's
like,
what I know. I know. I'm saying
like that's the thing about Ian Heinisch. Like he's good and he's been showing he's been improving like every single fight.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that way that he's gonna cut. Like I mean, you pretty much said it. Like he doesn't have a way that he's gonna go out and he's gonna beat him. Like
Yeah, he doesn't.
that's so it's good. It's guaranteed. Like if he's gonna win this fight, it's gonna be a close ass fucking decision. And they're probably both gonna have taken a bunch of damage. Probably be a great fight.
Yeah.
I think it's either that and it's gonna be a toss up
that
on
might
these
be fight of the
scorecards, or it's Gastelum finishes him second or third round.
I hear
The
that.
Jack Hermanson fight doesn't do anything for me with Kelvin either because he looked good on the feet before he level changed and then Hermanson got the
It's just so quick.
heel
It's
hook.
just
It was just so quick to judge.
so
I mean,
quick.
you never know because you look back at how Vittori dealt with him. Vittori dropped him on the feet. Vittori trains with Gastelum. I mean, they could have had the same heavy pressure game plan from all along. I mean, if you got into that fight, you never know. You could have implemented the same
I hear
game.
that.
I think it all goes down to why the fuck does this guy not have the discipline to be a fucking be a fucking welterweight?
We'll talk. Let's talk about that after. Let's roll through. Let's get this final fight done.
Fucking
let's get
ridiculous.
it. Let's get it off the chest here, and then
Wanna be
we'll
a
kind of
fucking
get into
champion.
banter for however long. But I mean, as far as let's get into it, people. I know I already broke it down yesterday. Main event here, 170 pounds, welterweight strap on the line here. Kamaru Usman, the champion, 6 foot 77.5-inch reach, taking on Gilbert Burns, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Right there, we're looking at a reach disadvantage for Gilbert Burns. Kamaru Usman, 12-0 in the UFC with a 17-1 MMA record. Gilbert Burns, 12-3 in the UFC with a 19-3 MMA record. Kamaru Usman, 7 knockouts, 1 sub. Gilbert Burns, 6 knockouts, 8 subs. I mean, Kamaru Usman's coming off the UD win over Jorge Masvidal. I mean, in that fight, we saw a lot of, pressure pretty much from Kamaru Usman up against the fence. Looking to finally able to get the takedown later on in the fight. Looking from a lot of clinch fighting for Kamaru, kind of more of a boring fight. There's breaks in the fight intermittently. They would just break them up. I mean, as far as the Colby Covington fight, a lot more exciting fight for Kamaru Usman. High-paced striking battle to start the fight. Both guys kind of respecting each other's ground game, throwing for the fences in that fight. Some high kicks, some good slipping. He would slip into a flurry of shots, Kamaru would, from Colby, but Colby's kind of more of a pity-pat puncher, so it's not really worrisome. I mean, he was having success to the body with the front kicks and then following upstairs with the up kick. I mean, Kamaru got clipped in that fight a couple times, but would continue pressing. I mean, he was getting picked at even in some rounds, but then obviously able to stop Corey at the end of that fight. I mean, Colby at the end of that fight. And I mean, it's a fight you could break it down a million times. I mean, that's just the way it went. Kamaru was kind of the better striker as far as up to that point. I mean, you could argue, he's getting touched up more, this, that, and the third. He was hitting Colby with the harder shots, that's for sure. Breaking his jaw at one point in that fight. I mean, as far as the Tyron Woodley fight, that's a UD win. I mean, that's kind of the fight where, like I was saying last night the other day on the podcast, kind of we saw Tyron Woodley's soul kind of leave his body. And that's kind of where we saw, the passing of the torch. Tyron Woodley kind of, like you ever seen Space Jam, when they get the shit sucked out of him. Kind of the same exact shit happened to Tyron Woodley in that fight. Like, he put his hand on the basketball and he got it, his skill sucked right out of him. As far as Gilbert Burns, we just ended up getting shy in that fight. Kamaru basically dominated him in that fight. Lots of clinch work. Shots in the clinch, some beautiful takedowns. I mean, he just looked like the better fighter in that fight and proved it. I mean, as far as Gilbert Burns goes, he's coming off the UD win over Tyron Woodley as well. I mean, kind of a fight in which, we like I already said, Tyron Woodley looked like he didn't have much. I mean, even in the opening of that fight, I mean, dropped Woodley right off the bat, hurt him, huge cut. And I was like, wow, he might actually just finish him pretty early. But Woodley, obviously still being lively, was able to kind of get out. As far as Burns going, back at it with the leg kicks, pressure, timing him well, controlling pressure shots from the outside, lots of kicks, lots of feints, picking his openings well. I mean, in that fight, he's sometimes off balance, but as I'll talk about, I think Kamaru is somewhat at the same times. I think Gilbert's more off balance and more in a position to get taken down when he throws kicks. He kind of mixes it up with the kicks a lot. I mean, as far as even Burns against Woodley, like he was hitting him with good shots, even getting up from the clinch, variety of different shots, looking just as good in round 4, very good movement, fast jab, hammering the leg kick still, and then almost able to get a guillotine before the end of 4, and then just pretty much just running out the end of round 5, just kind of outstriking Tyron Woodley, still looking for it. I mean, he didn't even end up punching that big cut he had opened up over Tyron Woodley's eye for the rest of the fight from the opening knockdown. So, I mean, hopefully he's got more tenacity in this fight to actually go after it and go after the finish against a guy like Kamaru Usman, because he's going to need that, and this is for the belt. So I'm assured that he probably will be in that kind of mindset in this fight. As far as the Damian Maia fight, quick knockout from Gilbert Burns, kind of able to just kind of put it on him. Got taken down at one point in that fight. I mean, was able to get back up, and then obviously dropping Maia with a huge hook. As far as the Gunnar Nelson fight, kind of a more so fight where he was kind of controlled on the fence a lot, which is the one thing I don't like. He's able to kind of get controlled on the fence and the clinch a lot, which is kind of something we're probably going to see Kamaru implement. He was able to land some good shots on Gunnar Nelson, jumping knee, some good punches. Didn't throw as many kicks in that fight, but I mean, even still, he did throw a lot of kicks in that fight, and I mean, we even saw that lead leg, I think, was taking some damage in that fight. But I mean, big takedown slam, and he was able to, keep him against the fence for a good period of that fight. I think that the Gunnar Nelson fight being a UD win, that's pretty fair to say. I think Gilbert Burns' style, as far as we look at it, 6 knockouts, 8 subs. We look at where he's come from, obviously being a 4-time BJJ world champion. He's like one of these guys that's like now fully developing into his, full game, getting the striking, bringing it up to par where he is with his submission game. And really, in reality, I think that it's with the coming up to welterweight, moving up to 15 pounds, looks great. Like, just the weight that's been put onto his body, it looks perfect. Like, it looks natural. Like, it doesn't look unhealthy. I think before he was definitely cutting himself to an unhealthy weight, trying to be a weight bully. But now I think he's truly found his weight. Like I said, this is the first undisputed fight for the belt that's actually up on the line this year. I mean, this is a fight that was already supposed to be scheduled once. I mean, we've been waiting to see this fight. I mean, even since it was announced. I mean, the real questions being, would the ground game of Gilbert Burns lead to Kamaru, maybe saying, we're going to dictate this fight on the hands and feet, similar to the Covington match? Or is it more so going to be like Kamaru is going to employ some wrestling, which I do think is going to happen, a grinding style, try and tire Gilbert out. I think that he's going to try and maybe look to open up on the hands and feet later, but I don't even think so. It might just be a grind fest. I just see many opportunities for Kamaru to shoot like through the kicks and a lot of stuff like that. I don't know what type of fighter we're going to see from either guy in this fight. I think that it's a big question if he gets Gilbert down. Is Gilbert threatening him with subs? Is his athleticism and his strength going to be able to help him return to his feet quickly or reverse? I mean, I don't know. Like, or is he just going to naturally get manhandled by Kamaru down there, like we've seen with so many other guys? I just see a man in Gilbert who's worked his way up relatively quick. I know. I just see him being every fight upgrading as far as being stronger, more dangerous, and I just think that he's going to keep this streak going. I think that if Burns comes in shape, ready to go the full 5 rounds, I think that it's something that we're going to see from Burns. I think that definitely he's viable in these opening rounds. I want to see him later in the fight, obviously, once he gets, because I do think Kamaru's going to be implementing some takedowns, some pressure and stuff like that. I'm not sure if this fight's just going to take place on the hands and feet. I could be wrong, right? But I mean, I do think it's going to be more of a grindy, a little bit more of a boring fight from what I'm thinking now. More of a, very, very similar to the Masvidal fight with a little bit more takedowns and stuff like that. Maybe a couple submission threats from Gilbert Burns. But, I mean, I just think, like I was saying, a lot needs to happen in order to turn the tide from the way that I think the fight's going to be. But I just think that even just the high level of grappling Gilbert Burns has been doing, the way he's built himself up, I think he's a viable threat to beat a guy like Kamaru Usman. I think that he's a viable guy to damage Kamaru Usman and put him in a position where he's hurt and maybe doesn't have anywhere else to look. Man, hard fight to call, but I do think that I'm going to have to go with the underdog Gilbert Burns in this fight. I just think I'm going to have to. What do you guys have to say about that?
Dougie, you go ahead. I think you're muted. Or is this just me?
No, I can't hear him either. Dougie, talk.
Oh, sorry. I had my mic off.
Bull maestro.
Yeah, I don't want to do my full breakdown now because I do
Oh,
want to do the one on my channel.
right.
Yes.
But I'm going to give away, my pick is going to be Kamaru Usman by decision.
Yeah.
I definitely think it goes 5 rounds. I think a lot of people are forgetting that Usman is a legitimate black belt, and
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I really see Burns as a submission threat. I understand what a high-level BJJ guy is. I understand he might be the best jiu-jitsu practitioner, maybe in MMA.
Yeah.
There's a debate for that.
No,
but I don't know. I just don't think.
Shut the fuck up.
I just don't think it's easy to tap a guy like Kamaru Usman. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Kamaru Usman is going to get swept.
No.
And I think that's the only way that I really see Burns having a path to victory. I think Usman's stand-up is underrated. I think he has more knockouts and less fights. And we've seen Burns get knocked out. We've never really seen Usman hurt on the feet. We've never seen him dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Usman has a lot more advantages in this fight than people are giving him credit for. I see this being a pretty easy decision for him.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I mean, like, spirit of me, I think a lot of people already know me. That's the reason why they're here. I pick the shit out of underdogs. Love an underdog story. Always riding with the underdog, especially if I see something in the fight. I just see something in this fight that makes Gilbert Burns a dangerous guy. I actually see him dropping Kamaru at one point in this fight. I see him doing it. I just think if a guy like and it's entirely on how this fight's going to get dictated by, you know, Kamaru in his corner and Gilbert in his corner and what's going to end up taking place in the octagon. If we do see a stand-up war, I mean, like, if we see a guy like Colby tagging him with shots, I think it only takes 1 or 2 of those good shots, but I think that from Gilbert to really hurt Kamaru, I think that Gilbert needs to work to the body a lot, and I think that a huge home run for Gilbert is going to be just smoking the leg up. Let's fire those hard leg kicks. Let's get those leg kicks fired down the pipe. Let's start. Let's accumulate points from the leg kicks, and let's make Kamaru Usman shoot out of position. This is kind of, I forgot to say this in my thing. I said this yesterday. Kamaru Usman, when he's throwing multiple combinations, multiple punch combinations, he kind of gets out of sync on the last couple of punches, overextended, I'd say, and I think that's where Gilbert might clip him. I think that there's probably, like I said, battering with the front, with the lead leg as far as kicking it goes. And then we kind of start to make our way into the fight, and we see kind of, you know, if it's going to be a Kamaru Usman shooting for takedowns, clinch work, and then it's going to kind of be interesting. Dan, what do you think? I know you've got.
Well, I got one thing on that.
No, you go ahead.
For the leg kicks, who have we seen Usman spending a lot of time with lately? Justin Gaethje. There's nobody better to work your leg kick defense against than Justin Gaethje. I think he's going to be well prepared for leg kicks.
100%.
At the same time, though, Justin Gaethje ain't leg kicking him.
Not live in practice, obviously. Yeah. He's not going to kick the shit out of his leg in sparring. But right. I just, like, if you're going to work against anyone, strategy-wise, I think Whitman and Gaethje.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what happens when you check a leg kick? You expose yourself. You're off balance. Then Gilbert. So the way I'm seeing this fight, there's, like, Kamaru, I think if Kamaru wins this fight, it'll be 5 rounds.
Yeah.
It'll be going the distance. Kamaru's, and he always has this, he says, I like to beat the guy. Like, when I was wrestling, I like to go, I never like to just pin a guy. I like to fall him, where you just get so many points where it's just over, right? Or something like that, whatever that shit. I don't know. I think that's maybe just exposing the fact that, and Pat, we were saying this, I don't know if it was earlier today or yesterday. You were like, Gilbert's killer instinct. I think it's the complete opposite. I think it's Kamaru's the one that doesn't have the killer instinct. It was for the title where we saw him push the pace. Sorry, just let me finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I was reading it, and so especially, I'm sure, I don't know how many people have seen the Warzone or the, I don't know how fucking Warzone. What am I talking about? Dan Hardy's breakdown. Why am I so high right now? The bowls are killing me. The War Room. the war room. I don't know if anybody's watched the Kamaru Usman
Not yet,
Gilbert
because I
Burns
think
war
that's
room
a
yet.
that's a cross promotional type deal. We'll have to work out in the future. I don't do that type of shit.
Okay, but
I
I'm
don't
saying
announce it on air
it was
either.
good. There was a point in that it was in the RDA fight. When Kamaru was absolutely obliterating RDA in those like third, fourth rounds.
Yeah.
And it was like Hardy pointed out that Henry Hoops in the corner kind of looked at him and he was like, man to man. He was like, what are you doing? Go out there and finish him. Like, you got him absolutely on death's doorstep right now. Just go take him out of there.
Wait, Dan. Wait. Hold up. Hold that point because it's a great point. Was that the fight where he said, was it 40%? This is only 40%.
Well, this is what he all said.
Doug?
But you're broken. He's a broken man.
I'm only 40%. Yeah, I think it was that fight too. I'm only
so it's horseshit.
Oh, it was the Damian Maia
It's easy
fight?
to fucking say this shit
yeah,
when you're a
because it
fighter
was
and you
after
don't
the
take these risks. You're fucking going up against. You're gonna clinch
40%.
fight these guys. No, I think obviously I don't think. Let me tell you right now. I'm sorry, Douglas. I could not agree with you more. He does not want to go to the ground with this guy. Black belt or not. Yeah, he does not want to go. He does not want to shoot an open takedown on the mat. He may do it as a counter for any sort of body. He'll do if he's maybe
I'm
some
hoping
calf.
that's the case.
No, sorry. He's gonna counter. He's gonna counter leg kicks with some ankle picks as he does. He's gonna obviously if he's gonna try and catch, get an underhook on a kick. If he tries to go to the body, he's gonna use a takedown. But it's not gonna matter. It should not matter to Gilbert. You have to take every sort of risk. You're going every shot, not 100%, but you're putting like 85% in these shots. You're trying to hurt him. I agree with Pat. You got to counter after those combos. We've seen it before. We seen Gilbert's hands.
Yeah.
For the base that he came from with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
His hands are beautiful.
Yeah.
His timing, like either he doesn't throw crisp shots down the middle. He doesn't play off a jab. But like his timing and power, man, it's incredible. And that combined with his competitive spirit and his drive and hunger, it's hard to disagree with Pat's pick about Gilbert Burns. Like even though there's so many factors, and we'll get into it later more, but there's so many factors that makes me want to pick
say
Usman,
it now.
but I just keep coming back.
Say it now. Just say the whole. Say the whole.
No.
thing.
I'm gonna say that after.
Thing.
I'm just gonna keep. But I'm saying I can't get off track. I have to say what I'm gonna think Gilbert's game plan is. Which I'll pretty much say now because I just pretty much forgot what I was going to say. What pretty much Gilbert has to do is he has to go in there and set an astronomical pace off the start of the fight. He's got to put a Khabib-like pace. Like what we saw Khabib do to Gaethje, I think that's what Gilbert Burns has to do to Kamaru. Not necessarily, there's no takedown threat, but just in his face, like, I don't care if you're taking me down, I'm taking all these risks. Like, if you take me down, I'm going to try and shoot for a knee bar, like... And I don't know if, Pat, you recognize what I sent you today. I don't know if, like, I don't think it's something you really say as, like, at a jest or, like, something to try and get and, like, play mind games. But Gilbert literally said, Kamaru knows I can submit him.
Mm-hmm.
He knows. And I think, like, yeah, black belt, they're not levels. Four-time world jiu-jitsu champion.
Yeah,
like,
going against guys like Gary Tonin, like putting his hat in the mix against
with the killer instinct in there. Like, I agree, it's gonna be hard as fuck to submit. Like, he's gonna have to fucking probably put Kamaru to sleep, no matter what, or break his arm or something like that. And it's gonna be tough as fuck. I'm looking forward to seeing it because I don't know how it's gonna happen.
No, it probably won't too.
But the beauty is he's got 25 minutes to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
That's the thing. Like, he's got 25, unless Kamaru, like, I don't see how Kamaru's going to hurt him. Anything's possible, obviously. He could eye poke him for all we know. He could fucking bury his nuts into his pelvis. Like, who fucking knows? Like, anything could fucking happen. I'd fucking pray for anything.
That just took a turn.
I think anything can happen. That's all I'm saying. But if he has 25 minutes, the endless possibilities of what Gilbert he can do it. Like,
LJ, what are you saying on this one?
Yeah,
you got the Kamaru picture going.
This is gonna be fucked.
Yes. I've done the most notes on this one because the rest of the card's a bit lackluster. So I thought I might just go in depth on this one.
Take it away.
competitive main event or whatever. So Kamaru Usman, I mean, he's a decision fighter. So low chance of a finish. I've got down here. He's done just under 125 minutes in the cage in his last 5 fights. So all 5 fights have gone to the distance. 4 out of 5 fights have gone the distance. One of them entering the 5th round. But I've got it here, and I've got it in highlight colour. Very vulnerable in the 1st round. So he's don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. I've got him winning, but I just think the 1st round, he just looks like food in the 1st round. I mean, Jorge Masvidal on 6 days' notice. Bear in mind, Masvidal's absolutely cooked from a 25-pound weight cut.
Yeah, cooked.
I mean,
cooked.
he's on his YouTube channel passing out next to the bathtub. He can barely do it. 6 pounds. 6 days, 25 pounds. And Jorge Masvidal, who's notorious. I mean, say what you want about Masvidal being underrated. We know that he's got notoriously bad takedown defense. He's not the best. He doesn't really stuff takedowns. He gets taken down. Still gets taken down by Usman, but wins the 1st round by just blitzing him with hooks and just coming in his face. Bear in mind, he knows, I've had a terrible weight cut. I'm on 6 days' notice. I'm probably not going to win the fight. And he knows consciously, this guy's taking me down within the first 30 seconds of the 1st round. And he's still landing big bombs on him. Not necessarily hurting Usman, but still landing big shots. Now, Damian Maia. Short notice fight again, but not as short notice as Masvidal. 1st round, Maia has both hooks in against the fence. And now Leon Roberts. I mean, he's a UK ref from my neck of the woods. Leon Roberts, absolute idiot. I was watching this fight back, and I'm screaming. I'm going, Leon Roberts, what are you doing? Damian Maia, he's in his spot. You know that's where he is. Both hooks in against the fence. That's what he does. So he's got both hooks in against Usman. And he's just camping out. That's his spot. He's just waiting for the opportunity. And then Leon Roberts separates them when they're dry. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. I note down Maia, still a lesser striker, still landing hard shots on Usman. Usman misses a leg kick and gets hit with a hard shot by Maia. Like his defense in this 1st round is terrible.
I hear that.
So then I've got the Covington fight. Covington, volume puncher, cardio wrestler, no power. Winning the fight, in my opinion, 3-2, but the fight never hit the mat. Now, if you're losing 3-2 and you're not taking the guy down because of whatever reason, maybe the wrestling skill level cancelled out, or maybe they just completely hated each other, so they just wanted to bang it out. Okay, but in a stand-up fight against a cardio wrestler, you're going tooth and nail. When you're the bigger guy, he's got no pop and he's landing heavy shots. Like Kobe was landing huge shots.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like I was saying that. Yeah, like if you're landing and you're a guy that's a pity pat puncher, cardio striker.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
Now, if Gilbert Burns can 100%, if you see this fight, and Kamaru's a bit overzealous, he's pressuring him against the fence. I think Gilbert Burns' best shot is to catch him dry in a submission, either against the fence or pull guard into a submission. That's his best bet, in my opinion, for Gilbert Burns. But Gilbert Burns, with his fight with Tyron Woodley, hurts Woodley in the 1st round, bad, drops him early. And this is the thing with Gilbert Burns. That win against Woodley, we've seen Woodley hang in there. We got finished by Covington, but it was a rib injury. That was in the 5th round. Then we've got Kamaru going the distance with him. But then Gilbert Burns just beat him from pillar to post. I mean, he dropped him in the 1st round, completely controlled him on the feet, completely controlled him on the ground, and then dropped him again in the 5th round. I mean, this is a guy that we know in Usman, who's got a good chin. Yeah, he's a bit older, but he's got a good chin. I mean, the only time he's ever been chin in in his career was against Nate Marquardt early in his career.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy, regardless of how old he is, regardless if he's motivated, he knows how to survive just based on skill.
Mm-hmm.
And Gilbert still nearly got him out of there twice. I mean, I'd say between the both of them, Gilbert Burns has definitely got the more finishing instinct. He's definitely live in the first 3 rounds.
That's good.
I hear that.
offer
I hear
you
that.
this.
On the
That's
feet,
Dan.
I don't think he's got enough pop to Usman, but I just think on the ground, I think he's live for a submission in those first 2 rounds, especially when they're dry. I think it might be a case like Dan came up. That's how I think Gilbert's going to win the fight. Pressure in his face. I think slam those legs. We know that his knees are terrible. Let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, I wouldn't
Kamaru,
even go for.
his
I wouldn't even go
fights-
for
his-
calf kicks.
Yeah,
I go
his
for
fights,
traditional.
His fights are numbered because, in my opinion, he's getting towards like that. He's getting on a bit. I mean, he's like a shot fighter almost. He's just full of injuries. You know, it's just because he's that good. He's that skilled. He just guts it out every time.
Yep.
And he's even said, "Oh, I'd love to fight 3 times a year, but I just physically can't."
No, I know.
can't.
Guy
You
can't
only,
even walk down
you
the
can
stairs.
only
man.
physically afford to fight once a year. I mean,
Can't walk down the stairs.
yeah. I mean, I think Gilbert Burns is live. Don't get me wrong. I think he's live to get the sub in the first 2 rounds. I think he's going to look great on the feet, but I just think overall, I think the spots like against the fence and like takedowns off of kicks, and then Usman playing it safe, just in different positions so he can rack up control time. That's where I think Usman wins the fight. I've got Usman decision, but I mean, there's going to be one day, and I'm telling you now, there's going to be a day where
wait for the day.
he comes in, he's like 35, 30. I mean, he's 33 now. He's going to be 34, 35. I mean, he already looks older. He shaved his hair, and he looks. I'm a fan of Usman. I'm a fan of Usman. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. He's not the most fan-friendly fight style, but he's just so dominant and skilled. I just love watching that. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, he's looking older. He's getting older physically, and there's going to be one day where he comes in. He's either against whether it's Chimaev, whether it's Leon Edwards, whether it's someone else, whether it's Chiesa or someone like that. Someone who's younger than him, faster than him, less miles on the clock, and it's going to be a case of he comes in, he's like 35, and he just looks old, and he just gets blown out the water. But I don't think this is going to be the day. I think he edges it out. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think Gilbert might win the first 2 rounds, and then Usman ends up controlling it. But yeah, I've got Usman decision.
No, not a bad pick. Dan, you want to pull up the lines real quick so we just keep rolling on it and then cut this off and open up the banter portion of it?
But like I said, it's going to be one of these days. He's going to fight Chimaev. He's going to fight Leon Edwards. One of these dudes is just like wants it so bad, and he's just going to come in.
We'll get into the whole Chimaev talk because I'm sure you heard me mention it yesterday in the podcast. We'll talk about that after.
I think Dhiego could be the guy.
So do I, right? Like, it's like I've been picking guys. Like, I've been waiting for the guy that I'm like, and I was saying it yesterday, waiting for the guy that's like, got that little bit.
It's definitely his hardest fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know.
100%.
Colby's a hard night out, but he just.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right game plan, though, right? Like, they just stood there.
Fight. They were never kickboxing fight, because they just didn't like each other.
And it was also, the worst matchup for Colby, really, realistically. Somebody that
like
couldn't employ pretty much his game plan whatsoever, had to just stand there and try and bang. Like,
exactly.
If he honestly, if Colby, his game plan was to, like, because obviously we saw that in, like, the 3rd and 4th round, when he's like, oh, if I just start sitting down on some of these and really start hitting them with some combos, I could light this motherfucker up. Like, 3rd and 4th round, he tagged him. Like, Gilbert knows this. If he does this in the first 2 rounds and then can sink in something early, man, I don't know. He's so hungry. You can just tell he wants this so bad. He knows, even if, and I'm sure, like, and people have said this, it's a great point. Even if Usman, maybe he's won 85% of these grappling exchanges, he's like, but I can guarantee you Dhirego's had some good moments where he's had some sweet little reversals, and he's like, oh, look at that one there, Kamaru or Marty. I don't know what he calls him, but
no, like I said,
Poha, that's what he calls.
If this
him.
enter, if this fight goes
No,
to
you don't
the,
call somebody else that. It's fucking.
if this fight goes, if this fight, if this fight is against the cage at any point in the first round, like the Damian Maia fight, I mean, like with Gilbert Burns, I watched the fight when he had with Damian Maia. He's in compromised positions against Damian Maia, and he's just attacking. He's attacking. It's position over submission. I mean, submission over position. He's just attacking. He's attacking. So I think if you see him in bad positions, like he's pinned up against the fence against Usman, he's gonna pull guard. He's gonna grab for something. If Damian Maia is catching him in the first round, I mean, Damian Maia, they're on similar levels. I mean, I'd probably edge out Gilbert Burns a bit more on the grappling side at this point. But if Damian Maia's got you in his spot, and then just purely by chance Leon Roberts separated it, I mean, we don't know if Damian Maia could have got a submission from that position.
Point.
So
it's a great point. It's a great point.
I definitely think if Gilbert grabs onto a neck or something while they're dry in the first round, he's definitely live for a submission.
For sure.
I almost just think, like, obviously, like, yeah, you could catch him something on the back, but, like, I think he's just going to light him up somehow. I think he's just going to counter him. I think Pat's, like, even if it's not even, like, it depends. Like, if he just if he blows himself out from going too hard in the first 2 rounds, and he literally just goes, he knows that's maybe one of the only ways he can do it, and he goes all out like that, and maybe without having, and I guess I'll say it now, like, so this is one of the main things that I was saying to Pat. I've been pretty heavy on Gilbert this entire time, but when I really thought about it, and thought about the fact that Henry Hooft will not be obviously in neither guy's corner, but the fact that Kamaru will have Trevor Whitman, and I don't know who. It's probably going to be some. I'm not necessarily. I really have no idea who's going to be Gilbert's head coach in there. Like, it's such a disadvantage, but at the same time, like, their game plans probably have already been set for so long. It's not a specific thing, but I don't know. I really hope we don't, but we could really see like 20 minutes of just fence fighting, fence clinch.
Let's get over some bets of what we think that are looking good for bets as far as this fight, and then we'll wrap this up and I'll open up the banter.
I like Kamaru Usman by the unanimous decision. One has a bit better value at the bottom.
Dougie swapped over after the. Did you swap over after last weekend?
No, I think I've had Usman the whole time.
No. I mean, betting sites.
Oh yeah, I just got on Betway this week.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Yeah.
Is it worth it though? Yeah, I guess it is. It's worth it.
Yeah, that's gotta be the bet. I mean, besides Kamaru Usman, he's not.
Like, I'll probably hedge it with that 100%. Yeah.
I mean, besides Colby Covington, he's not finished anyone.
But I think
it was almost a horse shit decision against Colby too.
Sergio Moraes.
Under 3.5.
You could say whatever you want.
Exactly, yeah. It was like a minute left until the bell went.
Right, a minute and a half until the bell left. I mean, a bunch of fucking. I don't even know.
I think those 3 rounds maybe probably end up spreading.
It's what ref we get in this fight too. That's huge too. I was saying that yesterday. What ref we get in this fight? Huge.
Well,
huge.
I'm telling you, Leon Roberts. I mean, I was screaming when I was watching this fight back. I was like, "What are you doing?" I mean, it's like. That is Damian Maia's
I pictured that so vividly when you were saying that. I was like, I remember myself like, "What the fuck's going on? Like, what are you doing, man? Like,
I mean, he could have easily just grabbed a neck, but like worked.
And by far the deepest Damian Maia was on getting any sort of takedown that entire fight. Like his best moment right there. Like obviously, yeah, he did tag him still too, but I do
think Kamaru's very vulnerable in that first round. I would not be surprised if if Gilbert looks good, drops him, and then wins the first round just based on that. Like, he's like I said, I've literally got it written down. Damian Maia landing hard shots to the chin of Usman. Usman misses a leg kick and gets hit with a shot to the chin of. Usman misses a leg kick and Maia hits him with a shot. Like,
it's gonna be so hard to take him out of there, though.
He's got a fantastic chin. But
He's so tough.
It's going to be
he might have to
accumulation.
submit it.
It'll be. It's not one punch. He's not going to take him out with one punch. It's going to have to be accumulation.
I have a sick feeling it might even be a body shot too. If we're getting real specific.
In fact, if I think
Really?
if Kamaru comes in with a game plan of I'm just going to stand with this guy because I just don't want to have anything to do with the ground game. Like maybe clinch wrestles. And then,
Well, you don't go to Trevor Whitman.
And then Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns just avoids it. I think Gilbert Burns wins the fight all day standing. I really do. Like he's gonna have to slam that lead leg.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to, body kicks all night. I think the body kick will be there. You know, just be careful if he doesn't go for a takedown off it. But
I'd open up with an oblique kick.
Burns can win the
Right,
fight.
his lead leg.
If he stays standing, but I've still got Usman decision. I just think he's just going to grind it out in those little positions, like in the cage and just the initial takedown, but with not much going on. With Burns off his back, I just think he just racks up control time.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, people, this is going to be a fight, of course, always. I think this is going to be the set panel. Dan, I'm going to close this out because we'll keep talking about this as far as it goes, but let's wrap up the actual thing here, people. Don't anyone leave. We're still
okay. We have to. Oh, I almost forgot.
We got a big announcement to make here as far as
you guys don't even know about it yet.
Progressing everything goes, but I'm going to play the outro, people. Don't anybody leave. I'm opening up the panel for anyone that wants to hop in. We're going to keep it going. Appreciate everybody here. You know what I mean? Like I said, always hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell. We will all be going live together for this main event. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to make it through this one, people. I'm going to make it through. We're going to make it through.
Hold me to that.
Hold me to that. Maybe another one. Maybe that'll soon be the bet thing.
We have to have some sort of mechanism.
Knock out the ear by Corey Sandhagen. If you were sleeping through the knockout the ear by Corey Sandhagen,
Listen to this
I mean,
guy.
Kamaru Usman clinching against the fence with just foot stomps for 25 minutes.
Exactly.
I mean, you're gonna be flat out.
Might be in the chair. Round. Might be in the chair asleep. Yeah, I hear so.
You'll be doing play-by-play.
Maycee Barber and Alexa Grasso as the co-main event. I mean, people are gonna get some good sleep in those two fights.
No, but we got some good fights. Like, let's be honest. I enjoyed breaking some of those down. And it's making me looking forward to. Like, I'm looking forward to this card.
We're gonna get into it in a second here, people. Here's the outro.
Medic! I'd like to thank you guys for joining us on this glorious day.
And a friend.
You aren't duping the doctor. I mean, the doctors look into your eyes.
Jeez, and the fight is over! Michael What did I tell you, fools?
What's up, boys and girls? This is UFC lightweight Michael Chandler. I'm just telling you right now, if you don't go to YouTube and hop on the MMA Bet Surgeon channel, like and subscribe and ingest and digest some of the best UFC mixed martial arts and boxing predictions on the planet, on the internet, then you're doing it wrong. Appreciate you guys. See you at the top.